Chapter 707. Zhan Chuanxiu brandished his spear, but it wasn't easy to control a high-tier divine weapon. His strength was still lacking, but Yi Qinghan had obtained many treasures in the tomb of the gods. It was just a matter of time before he became weak. Yi Qinghan smiled. He had profited this time. Looking around, he didn't see Nine Remoteness Lord anywhere. He couldn't help but worry. He didn't enter the center, nor was he in the periphery. Could something have happened to him? Where's my master? Yi Qinghan asked curiously. He was too powerful, so he was forcefully pushed out of the divine mausoleum by the implement spirit. His face was covered in dirt, and he has already returned. Yi Qinghan shrugged. It seemed that Nine Remoteness's strength was close to that of an over-god. What he lacked was the profound mysteries of the over-god realm. Once he broke through, he would become an over-god. You can all go back, Yi Qinghan said calmly. The martial god nation's patriarch bowed and cupped his fists. Manor Lord Yi, this old man owes you a life. If you have any requests in the future, this old man will do anything. Many thanks, Manor Lord Yi. If there's anything you need in the future, just send a message. This old man will do his best to support you. The 7 high-tier gods of the ravenous wolf plain bowed. Then I'll thank you in advance. Yi Qinghan nodded. This time, not only did he obtain treasures, but he also gained the friendship of these high-tier gods. It was an unexpected gain. Shangqing and Yuqing hesitated for a moment before deciding to keep their promise and give 1/3 of their territory to Crazed Manor. 1/3 of a divine nation's territory was huge. It was at least the size of 12 prefectures. Long Yuan didn't know what to say. He left quietly, thinking of a way to make up for this relationship. Yi Qinghan shook his head as he watched Yi Qinghan's desolate back. Actually, what he had done today wasn't considered overboard. It was just that he couldn't get over it. If he were to meet Yi Qinghan again in the future, he would feel inferior. The evil dominator left and did not ask Xian Yen Shui to return. Only the frenzied sword cannon monarch was left. He was alone, but he was willing to stay in the Crazed Manor. Yi Qinghan welcomed him with open arms. As for Xiao Xingyang and Xiao Yu, Yi Qinghan had them leave the mythological realm and return to the ravenous wolf plain to settle their affairs. If they were willing to return, they could. What the Quang Manor wanted were people who truly wanted to stay. Those who wanted to leave couldn't be kept. Xiao Xingyang bowed and flew away with his friends. Li Feng cupped his fists and said, "Many thanks, Brother Yi. I owe you a favor, and I'll repay you in the future. This opportunity was quite good, so I need to go back and prepare to break through to the high god realm." Li Feng was only a little more than 3,000 years old, but he was already preparing to break through to become a higher god. Even the Cannon King was shocked by this. The higher god priests in the various major dimensions were all old monsters who had lived for hundreds of thousands of years. Those who were 50 or 60,000 years old were rare, and those who were under 10,000 years old were even rarer. As for those who were 3,000 years old, Li Feng was the first genius he had seen. Farewell. I wish you success in advance. After you succeed, you must invite us to the banquet. Yi Qinghan cupped his fists and bowed. Li Feng was an opponent worthy of respect. No matter what grudges they had in the past, this cooperation could be erased. Li Feng nodded and said, "In 100 years, I will definitely invite all the heroes of the world to a banquet." After Li Feng finished speaking, he turned into a ray of sword light and left. Let's go back too. Yi Qinghan led the insane sect back to the Crazed Manor. Along the way, he learned that Yi Linchen had been killed by High God Wu Yu. A cold light flashed in his eyes, and he snorted coldly. After we go back, we will reorganize and destroy God's organization. The group valiantly stepped out of the southern wasteland, flying into the sky and burrowing into the ground as they rushed towards the Crazed Manor. After a day, the group returned to the crazed manor and immediately went into seclusion in a different space. Yi Qinghan took out all the precious medicines and divine pills he had obtained, and distributed a large number of fifth-grade secret techniques to everyone. He also placed the godheads of the superior gods on the table for those who needed them. The Tianhun godhead was given to Emperor Yi. The god-slaying eagle obtained the only lord-level secret technique that had appeared so far, the eagle strikes the ninth heaven. However, the group could not cultivate it, and they could not even use it as a reference. They could not understand it at all. When the Nine Remoteness Lord found out about the lord-level secret technique, he rushed over from the Nine Remoteness plane and forcefully borrowed the eagle strikes the ninth heaven. The god-slaying eagle was helpless, and it could not compete with him. Everyone began to meditate on the secret technique of the 15th rank high god offering. Yi Qinghan, on the other hand, was rummaging through the Qianquan rings and sorting out all the treasures. When he came to the items that were given to him in the first stage, he sighed and ordered his men to bring the Qianquan rings and their last words back to their clans. After sorting out the treasures, Yi Qinghan accidentally discovered a fifth-grade fire elemental secret technique that could allow his fire origin to quickly advance to the fifth grade, which was the realm of a superior god. He was immediately overjoyed, and after returning to the alternate dimension and cultivating diligently for several decades, he finally advanced his fire origin to the 14th grade, which was the realm of a superior god great perfection. After that, he began to refine his physical body and raised it to the realm of a superior god great perfection. His cultivation had increased by more than 10 times. At this moment, even without the god's severing gloves, Yi Qinghan was confident that he could fight Li Feng. Several decades had passed in the different space, but only a few days had passed in the outside world. Everyone was cultivating diligently and comprehending the secret technique. Emperor Yi had been painstakingly cultivating and comprehending the godhood of a high-level heavenly soul in the alternate dimension. After 3 months in the outside world, he had finally been promoted to a high-level god priest. He was overjoyed. The crazed manor finally had a high-level god priest of its own. While the Kuang sect was cultivating diligently, the tomb of the god of sin suddenly went out of control. The gate opened and more than 100 experts rushed out. They looked as if they had just survived a disaster. Their legs were trembling and they couldn't even stand up. The Feng Yun three heavens looked at each other and left the tomb of the god of sin. Wuxia and heaven and earth high god were covered in blood, especially heaven and earth high god. Even his heart was dug out and eaten by a mutated divine beast. It was extremely tragic. If it wasn't for his tenacious will, he would have died long ago. Roar! Greedy wolf exalted roared at the sky. Now, he only had his left arm left. His right arm was torn off and eaten by a divine beast. He was extremely angry. Who is that damned young bastard? I'm going to kill him. Greedy wolf exalted roared. His hatred for Yi Qinghan didn't decrease. Instead, it increased. His name is Yi Qinghan. He is a mansion master of the mythological dimension. If Brother Greedy Wolf is interested, we are willing to work together to uproot the Kuang sect. Wuxia roared in a low voice. Humph. Wait for me for 3 years. I will heal my injured body first. I will let him know the consequences of offending me. Greedy Wolf exalted was furious. His eyes were filled with ferocity. He couldn't wait to crush Yi Qinghan into pieces. There were more than 80 superior god priests left. More than 30 of them were terrifying young elites. They were not inferior to the superior god priests. At this moment, they had an inexplicable hatred for Yi Qinghan. Perhaps this was the reason why Yi Qinghan was the first to rush out of the tomb of the god of sin. Most of them had obtained a lot of treasures. At this moment, they weren't in a hurry to take revenge on Yi Qinghan. Instead, they returned to their own mansions and started to heal their injured bodies. Once they came out of seclusion, they would definitely gather together to take revenge on Yi Qinghan. Chapter 708 3 months later, an envoy from the Three Clear Divine Nation arrived and handed over a third of the territory near Quang Manor to them. Mu Feilong was dumbfounded. He couldn't accept this at all. He led his army to resist Quang Manor's army. Lu Zhantian personally led the Iron Dragon army to the city gates. Most of the Mu clan's troops were defeated without a fight. The remaining forces did not dare to resist and surrendered. Mu Feilong was unwilling to give up. In the end, everyone betrayed him. Even the Mu clan's manor lord stood up and spoke for him. In the end, he was detained by Lu Zhantian. If Mu Xiaoqi did not plead for mercy, he would have been killed by Lu Zhantian. The Iron Dragon army glared at Mu Feilong. They wanted to kill him and avenge the 300,000 undead. In order to stabilize the army's morale, Lu Zhantian did not even give Mu Xiaoqi face. He directly destroyed Mu Feilong's godhead and turned him into a mortal. The Mu clan's manor lord did not say anything. A piece of trash who offended Quang Manor was not worth his pleading. The 12 mansions declared their loyalty to Quang Manor at the same time. The army was broken up and rebuilt. The manor lord's forces were removed. They could only cooperate with Quang Manor to govern the territory without any special privileges. If they did well, they would be rewarded. If they dared to betray Quang Manor, they would be ruthlessly suppressed by Quang Manor. The manor lords did not dare to complain. Their army had been yearning to join Quang Manor for a long time. The people everywhere even decorated the place with lanterns and streamers to show their welcome. Only then did they know how popular Quang Manor was. At this moment, there was a saying going around everywhere: follow Quang Manor and you will have wine and meat. You will no longer have to worry about being oppressed by the strong and becoming a servant of a powerful force. Become a citizen of Quang Manor and make a fortune first, then cultivate later. There were many ways to earn divine crystals. Quang Manor quickly established a series of policies to develop the economy of the various mansions. Quang Manor even allocated funds to help the various mansions set up various projects and activities to attract guests. After reorganizing the territories of the major mansions, the outer sect of the crazy sect set up subsects under the 12 major mansions and began to recruit disciples. The promotion of disciples was based on a point system, which was similar to the system of the ancient massacre god. The disciples were divided into 9 ranks. Promotion to rank 1 required a certain number of points. Promotion to rank 2 required 10 times the amount of points. After becoming a rank 2 disciple, the rewards and monthly allowance would be much greater. Divine gems and secret skills were enough to make a rank 1 disciple drool with envy. After becoming a rank 9 disciple, one could be promoted to an inner sect disciple. That was a place that everyone yearned for. Once one became an inner sect disciple, one could directly communicate with Yi Qinghan face to face. There was no need to worry about resources. If one encountered a bottleneck in one's cultivation, there would naturally be a higher god priest who would preach and share his experiences. Therefore, at this moment, the prestige of the 3 major seminaries had suffered a blow. The number 1 cultivation holy land was no longer the 3 seminaries, but the outer sect of the insane sect. Many people racked their brains to get in. Unfortunately, the threshold of the outer sect was even harsher than the seminaries. The first batch of outer sect disciples laughed happily. Their cultivation and talent were far inferior to those who came for the assessment, but they were the first batch of people who followed Yi Qinghan. That was their advantage. The crazy sect needed people who could be trusted. Even if their cultivation was not high, they could lead a region because there were people in the inner sect who could intimidate the entire plane. The subsects of the outer sect were set up at the same time. The elders of the outer sect became the masters of the subsects and began to recruit disciples. A large number of elites came, and even the sons of great families came, hoping to join the outer sect. Joining the crazy sect was not as simple as one might think. There were 3 tests. The first test was illusion, which was set up by Emperor Yi himself. It tested the cultivators' sincerity to join the crazy sect and how much they could contribute to the sect. The second test was perseverance, which was how firm one's heart was. The third test was talent. If one could pass the third test, one might be able to enter the outer sect. If one could not pass the first and second tests, one was not qualified to join the outer sect at all. Therefore, joining the crazy sect was no longer a matter of cultivation and combat power, but of the heart of the path. That was the most important. Many super elites could not even pass the first test. They cursed the crazy sect and were very disdainful of its practices. However, there were some disciples of poor families who were not even at the imperial level who passed the test. This attracted more and more low-level geniuses to come and take the test. More and more people understood that in the crazy sect's assessment, talent came second, and loyalty came first. Many people adjusted their mentality and took the test again. Sure enough, they got what they wanted. Emperor Yi was now a superior god, and no one could disguise themselves and escape her illusion. Therefore, those who joined the outer sect were all loyal people. Just as the outer sect was in full swing to expand, Yi Qinghan, who had been cultivating in a different space for 100 years, came out with great strength. His cultivation was stuck at the level of a perfected medium god. He was only half a step away from the level of a superior god. Unfortunately, that layer of paper was harder to break than the barrier of the universe. It would take time to break through. Yi Qinghan shook his body. His whole body was as hard as a medium god weapon. It was condensed again and almost evolved into a superior god weapon. If he faced a superior god priest again, even if the soul-severing gauntlet did not show its power, he might not lose. Crack that he clenched his iron fist and a powerful aura rose. When he arrived at the southern mountain pass and heard Roger's report, he could not help but nod. He knew that it was time for the crazy sect to establish a divine kingdom. Sure enough, in the afternoon, a piece of news exploded in the mythical realm. The crazy sect would establish the fourth divine kingdom in 2 months, the Crazy Dragon Empire. The Crazy Dragon Empire was the smallest, but it was also the most powerful force. The superior god priest, Xiao Xingyang, and his friend had returned. Together with Emperor Yi, the Frenzied Blade, and the Cannon King, there were 4 superior god priests. Even if the Lord of Abyss did not show up, no force could face the crazy sect alone. In addition, Yi Qinghan's cultivation, the soul-severing gauntlet, and the mythical beast Pai Xiu, were more than enough to deal with a superior god priest. Even a superior god priest could not defeat the Pai Xiu. After the news of the establishment of a divine kingdom was released, the 3 colleges of divinity were already dissatisfied with the crazy sect. Now, they were even more dissatisfied with the crazy sect. God's organization was even more dissatisfied. The crazy sect had become the 4th divine kingdom right under their noses. More importantly, the 3 divine kingdoms did not oppose the crazy sect's establishment. Damn it! When I wanted to establish a divine kingdom, you disagreed as if your parents had died. Now, a bastard is establishing a divine kingdom, and you are licking your faces to curry favor with him. I will make you regret it one day. God Wu Yu roared angrily. God Qinkuan sneered and said in a hoarse voice, "Don't be so angry. I want to see how the crazy sect will establish the Crazy Dragon Empire. I have already informed Greedy Wolf Exalted. Maybe there will be a good show at the founding ceremony." When Wuyo heard Heaven and Earth High God's words, he sneered as if he was watching a good show. Chapter 709. 2 months later, the flowers bloomed in the warm spring. Rows of willow trees swayed in the wind, and the spiritual energy was extremely dense. There were no clouds for thousands of miles, and the sky was clear. Birds flew in the sky, and the streams were so clear that the bottom could be seen. Crazed Manor had become the most beautiful holy land. The most popular place for handsome men and beautiful women was Crazed Manor. There were no foppish young masters here, and there was no bullying. There was only peace. Wide stone roads extended in all directions, and a long river surrounded the entire crazed manor, becoming its moat. There were huge ships on the river, and the young masters and princesses gave up flying to set up banquets on the ships. The founding ceremony of Crazed Manor was about to begin, and many young masters came to watch. The divine lords of the three divine kingdoms would personally come to Crazed Manor to congratulate the sect. Many people came because of the three divine lords. These three were very young, but they were divine lords, so they must be superior gods. They were existences who led the era back then, and were idols in many people's hearts, just like Yi Qinghan. The old monsters of the three divine kingdoms would come, including the ancestors of Longyuan and Martial Destruction Divine Kingdom. After all, they owed Yi Qinghan their lives. As for the three old men of Shangqing and Yuqing, even though Yi Qinghan had taken 1/3 of their territories, they still had to give face to Yi Qinghan. The old deans of the three divine kingdoms also received invitations. Although they didn't want to come, if they didn't go, it would be tantamount to falling out with Yi Qinghan. How could they not come? All the overlords and the remaining superior gods of the mythical realm had received invitations. Now, Yi Qinghan was no longer the young man who relied on 9 nether. Instead, he was someone who could defeat the superior gods with his fists alone. In addition to Xiao Xingyang, the Canon King, Reverend Xian Qing, and Emperor Yi, there were 4 superior gods of the insane faction. In addition to the 7 superior gods that Yi Qinghan had saved, there were more than a dozen superior gods of the insane faction. Who would dare to stand shoulder to shoulder with the insane faction? Before the various overlords and divine nations experts arrived at the Crazed Manor, the 7 over-gods of the voracious wolf plane each invited a superior god priest to the mythical plane. Although superior gods could not enter other planes during peacetime, it was different if they were invited by a divine nation. The aura of 14 higher god priests was enough to scare someone to death. The evil dominator represented the evil faction. At this moment, there were almost 20 superior gods of the insane faction, and each of them was strong. Yi Qinghan personally welcomed them, giving them enough face. Outside the southern mountain pass, Yi Qinghan, dressed in green, greeted the experts of the voracious wolf plane along with the Canon King and Xiao Xingyang. Manor Lord Yi, congratulations on establishing the insane faction. Haha, we should call you Divine Lord Yi now. The 2 superior gods, Qing Luo and Wu Jingtian, laughed. Everyone congratulated him, and it was very lively. Thank you all for coming. It is the insane faction's honor. Yi Qinghan's aura was as clear as jade, neither servile nor overbearing. The aura of a heroic king radiated from him like a god. He casually gestured and said, "Everyone, please come in. Tomorrow is the grand ceremony." The Southern Mountain Pass Army was excited, and their military formation was uniform. Even their gait was particularly imposing. Now that the insane faction was here, they were even more confident and proud. Dong dong dong. Roger personally led 10,000 men captains to beat the sky-shaking drum. The sound of the drum shook the heavens and echoed across the sky, welcoming the arrival of the experts. Any divine nation that had such a high morale was considered a trump card. The Southern Mountain Pass army of 300,000 showed the world how righteous the insane faction's army was. The sound of the drum shook the blood of the superior gods. Even the superior gods felt their blood was boiling as they walked. Whoosh! The insane faction's flag was raised, and a dragon soared into the sky. The Southern Mountain Pass Army's flag was a wolf, a lone and proud wolf that represented the will of the Southern Mountain Pass Army. It fought like a wolf, fierce and merciless. The chiefs of the 3 divine nations and the other factions arrived from behind. They could not help but tremble when they saw the Southern Mountain Pass Army's aura. Their armies were nothing compared to the Southern Mountain Pass Army. Dong 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 dong. The sound of the drum was deafening. The armies of the North Guard Fortress, the Dongxia Fortress, and the Gan Mountain Pass started beating their drums, officially welcoming the heroes of the world. The insane faction's aura soared into the sky. The Steel Dragon Army, the Ancient Godly Massacre Army, Lu Lan's Blade, the Dragon Riders, and the Southern Mountain Pass Army all unleashed their auras. The faces of the experts who came to watch the ceremony paled. They frowned, feeling like the insane faction was trying to intimidate them. If the 5 armies worked together, none of the divine nations would stand a chance against them. At that moment, a figure suddenly rushed out of the wild sect. His spear pierced through space and time. The aura of the upper plane was in harmony with heaven and earth. His fighting will was almost heaven-defying. That fighting will could be felt clearly from thousands of miles away. It made people's breath stagnate. Zhan Chuanxiu caught up with the others. He was the first to reach the superior god realm with the help of a superior god's divine spear. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The 4 heaven-destroying swords tore through the air. 4 different sword intents were superior to the sword Tao. They worked together to suppress the great Tao of a mythical realm. The heavens and earth rumbled, and all laws submitted to them. Above the insane faction, Xian Yanxue, Gu Qingyu, Yi Feng, and Xia Qiue unleashed their strength at the same time. The 4 of them had reached the superior god realm almost at the same time. It had only taken them 5 months in the outside world, but it had taken them 1,500 years in the alternate space. Before the crowd could react, the space above the insane faction suddenly twisted, as if someone had torn it apart. A terrifying aura suppressed the crowd. Even the superior god realm priests were shocked. The heaven-destroying art. Yi Qinghan's eyes widened. He did not expect Xia Ziluo to reach the superior god realm as soon as she reappeared. Whoosh! There was a flash of white light. A peerless beauty traveled across the universe and descended beside Yi Qinghan. Her peerless beauty eclipsed the world. Medusa had also broken through. In 1,500 years, 8 superior god realm priests had appeared in the insane faction. When Medusa appeared, the divine masters of the various divine kingdoms, the overlords, the deans, and the old deans all took a step back. They looked at Medusa and felt ashamed of their inferiority. She was too perfect, so perfect that they could not look at her directly. Medusa's beauty was soul-stealing, while Emperor Ye's beauty was approachable. They were 2 completely different concepts. Gu Qingyu and the others all descended behind Yi Qinghan. They stood in an orderly manner with their swords in their arms. Yi Qinghan didn't really want to put on a show of strength, but it was too much of a coincidence that they had all made their breakthroughs at the same time. Most likely, the people from the various divine kingdoms and academies were having a mental breakdown. Stimulated by the superior god realm priest's aura, the 4 armies' aura became even stronger. Their roars shook the sky, and the heaven-shaking drum was almost shattered. Even the ground within 1,000 miles began to tremble. Chapter 710. It wasn't just Kuang Manor's territory. The people of the 12 mansions of Sanqing Divine Nation also started to cheer. Seeing this, Sanqing Divine Nation didn't feel good. Were these people ingrates? Or were they not popular? Shangqing shook his head. Although he was unhappy, he knew that he could not blame Yi Qinghan or the people for this. Yi Qinghan gestured for everyone to enter the southern mountain pass. The ancient beasts pulling the carriages were all giant ferocious beasts from the realm of beasts. They had been domesticated and had become a unique sight in the crazy sect. Flying was forbidden in the crazy sect's territory, so the carriages had to be pulled by powerful ferocious beasts. The experts were dumbfounded. These beasts were almost as strong as the manor lord, but they were only used to pull carriages in the crazy manner. Seniors, what do you think of my crazy manner? Yi Qinghan said proudly. He could be proud that he had turned the worst Gong Yang manor into the crazy manor. He, everyone smiled insincerely, not knowing how to answer Yi Qinghan. The Crazy Manor's economic model was definitely ahead of the rest. First, they won the hearts of the people. The city guards were even more popular. They were only responsible for protecting the peace of the Crazy Manor and would never bully the people. If the Crazy Manor was not popular, who would be qualified? The group of manor lords rode on hundreds of carriages, and the superior god divided them into 10 carriages. They circled around the Crazy Manor and arrived at the Crazy Manor auction house. They first greeted the guests casually, then sent them to the Zhengyang Special Business District and arranged accommodations. Yi Qinghan and the others returned to the Crazy Manor and began to plan for tomorrow's founding ceremony. However, the people from the Zhengyang Trading Company came uninvited. Yi Qinghan was surprised. The Zhengyang Trading Company was a business empire, and at the same time, they cut ties with the major factions and never participated in worldly conflicts. They were completely different from the Nine-Linked Mountain. The Nine-Linked Mountain disdained to interact with the common people, but the Zhengyang Trading Company did not participate in worldly conflicts to protect themselves. They maintained business relationships with everyone, but they never got too close to anyone. Therefore, he did not invite them this time. The Yu family head of the Zhengyang Trading Company, Yu Zhengyang, arrived at the southern mountain pass under the protection of a superior god and 10 manor lords. Luo Jie sent someone to inform Yi Qinghan, but he personally went to the southern mountain pass to welcome him. Yi Qinghan heard the report. He knew that if the other manors of the Crazy Dragon Empire wanted to develop, they could not do without the Zhengyang Trading Company's support. Therefore, he flew to the sky and rushed towards the southern mountain pass. Upon arriving at the southern mountain pass, Yi Qinghan stared at a white-haired old man. There was a young man and a young woman beside him. The young man was handsome, and Yi Qinghan naturally knew him. He was the future successor of the Zhengyang Trading Company, the Crown Prince, Yu Jie. He had a prominent status, and he was the one who had come to talk to him about the Zhengyang Special Business District. As for the other young woman, she was very beautiful, comparable to Yao Yan. Yi Qinghan did not know her, but she was a peerless beauty, and was well known in the mythology realm. She was one of the 4 great beauties, along with Yao Yan. Her name was Yu Luo, and she was the princess of the Zhengyang Trading Empire. Many men flocked to her, and there was a joke in the mythology realm that marrying Yu Luo, was equivalent to saving 10,000 years of hard work. 1 superior god priest, and 10 prefecture master level guards. One had to admit that the Zhengyang Trading Empire had a strong foundation. As long as one had divinity crystals, there was nothing that could not be bought. Naturally, there would be people who were willing to protect the Yu clan. Yi Qinghan flew in front of Yu Zhengyang, and he was very respectful. Such an old man had built a business empire from scratch, and he did not rely on strength, but wisdom. He was the real Almighty with wisdom, and he was completely different from the divine bird. Yu Zhengyang's eyes were full of wisdom, and his face was oily. He looked at Yi Qinghan's respectful attitude, and he was very satisfied. He laughed and said, "You are indeed a dragon among men. You are neither arrogant nor rash, and your future is limitless. Old mister, you flatter me. I didn't know that old mister would come, so I didn't welcome you. I hope mister won't blame me." Yi Qinghan respectfully bowed and said, "Ha ha ha, divine Lord Yi, please don't blame me for coming uninvited." Yu Zhengyang laughed. His voice was like spring thunder, and it was deep and powerful. One could tell that he was a person who had a good life. "Old Mr. Yu, you are too kind. Your presence brings light to my humble dwelling. If I knew that old mister was willing to come, I would have gone to invite you personally." Yi Qinghan smiled. It was very stressful to chat with such an old man. It was different from talking to a top-level expert. Experts relied on their fists, and Yi Qinghan believed that his fists were not small. However, Yu Zhengyang relied on his wisdom. This kind of wise saint was always respected. Yu Jie stood at the side and did not say anything. Yu Luo looked at Yi Qinghan curiously. She realized that other than being a little handsome, he did not seem to have any other good points. Why did her brother praise him so much, and why would all the superior gods give him face? Old Mr. Yu, please come in. Young Master Yu, please come in. Let me entertain you. Yi Qinghan said with a face full of smiles. Yu Xingyang was about to enter the southern mountain pass with Yu Jie's help. However, Yu Luo snorted, "Grandpa, please go in. Divine Lord Yi doesn't seem to welcome me. He hasn't even looked at me. Now, he only invited you and my brother. Ha ha ha, Luo is still so naughty. It is my fault that I didn't introduce you." Yu Xingyang's face was full of smiles. The skin on his face was all wrinkled. His wrinkled hand pulled over the unhappy Yu Luo and said to Yi Qinghan, "This child is my favorite little princess. Her name is Luo I've spoiled her too much. She's always so impudent. I guess she's angry because she was treated badly." Yi Qinghan smiled awkwardly. Until now, he really didn't take a good look at Yu Luo She was indeed a beauty. However, he wasn't interested. "Greetings, Fairy Luo I was rude just now. Please don't blame me. Fairy, please come in." Yi Qinghan cupped his fists. He still didn't look at her directly and gestured for everyone to enter the southern mountain pass. "Humph. Why aren't you looking at me? Am I that ugly? Or are you afraid to look? Afraid that you can't control yourself and lose face?" Yu Luo snorted. She was very unhappy. There were so many geniuses in the world. Which one of them didn't call her Luo They couldn't wait to stick their eyes on her. Yi Qinghan was different. He didn't even look at her. Yi Qinghan raised his brows. A princess was a princess after all. He didn't have the patience to serve her. He looked straight at Yu Luo His deep eyes were filled with majesty. His aura began to rise. His superior aura was like a god descending. It was so domineering that it suppressed Yu Luo's temper. Women were like this. The more princess-like they were, the more they couldn't be spoiled. The more domineering a man was, the smaller her temper would be. This time, it was Yu Luo who didn't dare to look at Yi Qinghan. She quickly hid behind Yu Xingyang. Yu Xingyang smiled faintly and thought to himself, "Indeed, there is always a conqueror." Chapter 7:11. After suppressing Yu Luo Yi Qinghan smiled and gestured for Yu Xingyang to follow him to the carriage shop. They rented 2 carriages, one for the guards and the other for Yu Xingyang and Yi Qinghan. The high-ranking god priest frowned. He didn't seem to trust Yi Qinghan and was even more worried about Yi Qinghan's identity. He was determined not to let Yi Qinghan and Yu Xingyang be alone. This high-ranking god priest was an expert trained by Yu Xingyang. He was also half a son of Yu Xingyang. He was an orphan that Yu Xingyang found from a pile of bones. His name was Yu Aoran. He was very close to Yu Xingyang. Other than Yu Xingyang, he didn't listen to anyone else's orders. Yu Xingyang also poured his heart and soul into Yu Aoran. In order to train him, he spent an unimaginable amount of god crystals. Just the top-grade god crystals alone cost more than 100,000. The high-ranking god crystals were even more numerous. He treated him better than his own son. "Aoran, go back to the other carriage. I have something to discuss with God Lord Yi," Yu Xingyang said with a serious face. Yu Aoran was still unwilling. This was the first time he went against Yu Xingyang's will. He was a bit worried about Yi Qinghan's strength and even more worried about Yi Qinghan. It was very dangerous to let someone like Yu Xingyang, who didn't have much battle power, stay with Yi Qinghan. If someone attacked and Yu Xingyang died, the entire Yu Empire might fall apart. He can't protect you. Yu Aoran was a strong man, but at this moment, he said with grievance. This is Quang Manor's territory. I believe in God Lord Ye's strength and character. If he didn't have a heart of light, Kuang Manor wouldn't be like this, Yu Xingyang said indifferently. It's not like you don't know how many people are after your life. If he can't protect you. Yue Aoran frowned and looked at Yi Qinghan. He felt that Yi Qinghan looked very young and couldn't withstand a single blow. Yi Qinghan shrugged and said indifferently, why don't you try to attack me and see if I can block it? That's what you said. Don't blame me if I hurt you. Yue Aoran said in a muffled voice. Don't worry. If you hurt me, no one will pursue the matter. Yi Qinghan clenched his fists as he spoke calmly. Yu Xingyang did not refuse. It just so happened that he wanted to see Yi Qinghan's strength as well. He retreated to the center of the 10 Manor Lord-level powerhouse's protection. He looked at Yu Xingyang calmly and said, be careful. Don't go too far. Yue Aoran mobilized his divine power, but he did not use the profound mysteries of the laws. He punched at Yi Qinghan's head. Yi Qinghan did not move at all. Only his clothes fluttered and his hair flew behind him. He stared straight at the incoming iron fist. He crossed his legs and the veins on his right arm bulged. He pulled back his fist and twisted his waist. His fist rotated slightly and fiercely charged at Yue Aoran's fist. Boom! The shockwaves rippled out and rushed into the galaxy. The 10 great experts joined forces with Yu Jia and Roger, but they were almost unable to block the shockwaves. Ka ka ka. Bam bam bam. Yue Aoran's bones in his fist were shattered. His body retreated continuously, and the stone floor beneath his feet turned into fine powder. He flew back several hundred meters before he could stop. The clothes on his right arm were blasted apart, revealing his bloody bones. He trembled continuously, and the pain caused his face to twitch malevolently. Yi Qinghan, on the other hand, only took 3 steps back before he stabilized himself. Yu Jia's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. The bodyguard's legs went soft and they almost fell to the ground. Yu Luo was completely stunned. Her little mouth was wide open, and her eyes were as big as fists. She now understood why Yi Qinghan could make her grandfather personally come out of seclusion. Why all the high-level gods in the world had to give him some face, and why the Sanqing theocracy had to give him 1/3 of their territory. This was simply a freaking monster. Even Li Feng could not cripple Yue Aoran with one punch and push him back several hundred meters. Even if Yue Aoran did not use the profound laws, Yi Qinghan did not use them either. It was just pure physical strength. Yu Xingyang was not surprised. Instead, he nodded calmly and said with a smile, as I expected, God Lord Yi must be a legend. Even God's organization could not establish a theocracy, but you managed to do so in just a few years. It is only natural for you to win against this child. Yi Qinghan did not underestimate Yue Aoran's strength. Instead, he thought more highly of him. He relied on the God-breaking gloves and the 5th-tier God-protecting garment to ignore his opponent's strength. Even so, he was pushed back 3 steps. In the entire mythical plane, Yue Aoran's physical strength was definitely the strongest apart from himself. He was an existence that could stand shoulder to shoulder with the Cannon King. Thank you, Brother Yu, for letting me win. If you had used the profound laws, I am afraid I would have lost. Yi Qinghan cupped his fists and said. Yue Aoran's godly power quickly healed his injured body. He quickly got on the other carriage and stopped competing with Yi Qinghan. If Yi Qinghan wanted to kill Yu Xingyang, it would be as easy as raising his hand. It made no difference whether he was there or not. Yi Qinghan personally helped Yu Xingyang get on the other carriage. Roger was the coachman, but he did not feel wronged at all. Not everyone could drive for Yi Qinghan and Yu Xingyang. In the carriage, Yu Xingyang looked at Yi Qinghan. The more he looked, the more satisfied he was. His gaze made Yi Qinghan's hair stand. Old mister, if you have something to say, you can just say it. If I can agree, I will not frown. Yi Qinghan said straightforwardly. All right, since God Lord Yi is so straightforward, this old man will not hide it. I came here for 3 matters. The first is the marriage between the Yu clan and the Kuang manor. The second is the migration of our clan. The third is the economic construction of the Kuang Dragon Empire. This third matter is a meeting gift from this old man. As for the first and second matter, I am not at ease leaving it to others. Yu Xingyang's eyes flashed as he looked straight at Yi Qinghan. Marriage? Migration of our clan? Yi Qinghan was shocked. These 2 matters were not trivial. The foundation of such a huge business empire could not be moved. As for the marriage, there were not many people in the Kuang sect who did not cultivate together. He would not want Yu Luo. He already had 2 top-notch beauties at home. He did not even know what to do with Medusa. How could he provoke another woman? You want to move the headquarters of the Upright Yang Trading Company to the Kuang Manor? Yi Qinghan was curious. The implications of this matter were too great. The foundation of the Upright Yang Trading Company was within the Tian-Ke Divine Academy's territory, and the amount of money involved was immeasurable. If the Upright Yang Trading Company moved, the Tian-Ke Divine Academy would suffer heavy losses. Therefore, the Tian-Ke Divine Academy had no choice but to protect the Upright Yang Trading Company all these years. Yes. This matter is not trivial. That is why this old man came to find you personally. The Upright Yang Trading Company is now in decline, and little Jia is still a little young. When this old man's time is up, the Tian-Ke Divine Academy will forcefully interfere with the Yu clan's affairs. The Upright Yang Trading Company will also change owners. This old man wants to move the headquarters of the trading company before my time is up. The place that I feel most at ease with is the Kuang Manor. This old man has seen countless people in his life, and when I first saw you, I felt that you were someone I could entrust my care to. I beg Divine Lord Yi to help me. This old man is willing to marry Luo to Divine Lord Yi as your concubine. I will give you my concubine. Yi Qinghan raised his eyebrows. 30% of the profits of the Upright Yang Trading Company was enough to support a divine nation. However, he could not enjoy this fortune. He immediately rejected, saying, Fairy Yu's body is priceless. How can she be a concubine? Moreover, this little one already has 2 wives and will not marry again. Old mister, please forgive me. However, I can agree to move the headquarters. Yu Xingyang looked straight at Yi Qinghan. He realized that he was indeed not interested in marrying Yu Luo. He could not help but sigh. Whether or not there was a marriage alliance would determine the status of the trading company. Whether or not Yi Qinghan would protect them sincerely, and whether or not the Kuang Manor would stand up for them if the trading company was suppressed by other powers in the future. Chapter 7:12. Yu Xingyang's face was filled with helplessness. His lifespan was getting shorter and shorter. As the pillar of the company, once he fell, the company would lose the support of experts. It would collapse like a building without a foundation. Whether the Yu clan could escape from this disaster was a problem. Yi Qinghan understood Yu Xingyang's heart. The Xingyang Trading Company empire was like the Kuang Manor, or even worse. The only difference was that the spiritual pillar of the company was Yu Xingyang, while the spiritual pillar of the Kuang sect was him. Once the Kuang sect lost him, at least there would still be brotherhood and countless experts. If Yu Xingyang fell, the company would fall too. There are still a few juniors in the inner sect who don't have a wife. Why don't we put Fairy Luo in the Kuang sect for a while? Maybe there will be a suitable one. Yi Qinghan thought for a moment. He didn't want a marriage alliance. At least, he wouldn't betray the feelings of the juniors for the sake of the Kuang sect. How could Yu Xingyang be willing to marry the most beloved princess of the Yu clan to an inner sect junior? These juniors were all brought up by me. It wouldn't be wrong to say that I treat them like my own children. Therefore, I don't want to use their happiness as a bargaining chip. It would be best if some of them develop feelings for Fairy Luo'er. If none of them can get used to her temper, I won't force them, Yi Qinghan said calmly. Then. Alright, since that's the case, it's settled. The third thing is that the Xinjiang Trading Company will help the Kuang Dragon Empire build a prosperous empire. Consider it my gift to you. Divine Lord Yi, please don't decline. Otherwise, my trip this time will be in vain, Yu Xinjiang said solemnly. I don't dare decline an elder's gift. I will accept it. After the ceremony, I will personally bring people to move the headquarters to the Kuang sect's territory. Do you have a place you like? I will separate it for you. Yi Qinghan spread out the map and looked at the entire Kuang Dragon Empire's territory. The Yeyang Pass was the territory of the Yeyang Manor. It was guarded by the Steel Dragon Army. It had just been separated from the Sanqing Kingdom and was very desolate. It was rich in resources, but it hadn't been developed yet. The Yeyang Pass and I are fated. Moreover, the strongest Steel Dragon Army is stationed here. I know Lu Zhantian. Under your guidance, he will soon enter the Superior God Shrine. And he is upright. I believe that he can protect the Yeyang Manor. How? Yu Xinjiang pointed to the pass in the northwest of the Kuang Dragon Empire's border. The Yeyang Manor of Yeyang Manor. And Yeyang Manor was with the Dragon Army was Dragon Army and Dragon Army was Dragon. Dragon Army and Dragon Army was Dragon Army was you. And Manor and Yeyang Country's army in Dragon, Northern, the Manor Northern Dragon Guards Xia Dragon Army. Was the Dragon. Was. Yu Xinjiang's eyes were like torches. He chose the Yeyang Manor at first glance. Yi Qinghan thought for a moment. Although it wasn't the safest place, it wasn't the best place either. The reason why Yu Xinjiang chose that place was probably because he wanted to develop the violent Dragon Empire's most barren land. Yi Qinghan didn't want Yu Xinjiang to suffer any losses, so he said, the Yuyang residence is naturally not a problem. To the west of the Yuyang residence is the Western Pass residence. I will station 30,000 hunters there. The outer sect's headquarters is 8,000 li to the east of the Yuyang residence, so we can reinforce the Yuyang residence at any time. Therefore, you don't have to worry about safety. This territory will be inherited by the Yu clan. Thank you, Divine Lord Yi. With your words, this old man can rest assured. Yu Xinjiang's eyes were smiling. With the Kuang Manor's momentum, the Kuang Dragon Empire could at least stand in the Legend Realm for 1,000,000 years. Then, the Upright Sun Trading Company would continue to develop and cultivate their own Superior God Shrine. The two discussed along the way and studied the infrastructure of the other 12 prefectures in the Kuang Dragon Empire. When they arrived at the Kuang Manor auction house, Yi Qinghan arranged a VIP room for the Yu clan. After a while, it was almost dawn. The army was already preparing for the ceremony tomorrow. The defense measures were the best. That night, the whole world celebrated. All the territories in the Kuang Dragon Empire were sleepless and brightly lit. In the Ravenous Wolf realm, High God Wu Yu personally came to find Ravenous Wolf exalted. That bastard has already built his divine nation. Are the other divine nations all dead? Why did they allow a medium god shrine to build his own country? Ravenous Wolf exalted was almost fully recovered. High God Wu Yu's eyes were full of murderous intent. He said helplessly, the old bastards of the three divine nations all owe Yi Qinghan a favor. In addition, the Lord of Nine Remoteness is his backer. Although the three divine colleges and other overlords are dissatisfied, no one took the lead. They can only watch him build his own country. They are angry, but they don't dare to say anything. I wonder if Ravenous Wolf Exalted has forgotten what happened in the tomb of the God of Sin. Ravenous Wolf Exalted smiled. He knew Wu Yu was using him as a tool, but his resentment toward Yi Qinghan made him overlook it. That bastard rejected me again and again in the tomb of the god of sin. He ruined my 1,000 years of cultivation. How can I forgive him? Greedy Wolf Exalted God growled coldly and clenched his iron fists. With a cold glint flashing in his eyes, he asked Exalted God Wu Yu, if I can stall that old bastard Yi Qinghan, how many high-level gods in your mythical plane are willing to kill Yi Qinghan? High God Wu Yu's eyes brightened. Ravenous Wolf Exalted was obviously much stronger than the average high god. He was the only one who could fight against the Lord of Nine Remoteness. If he was willing to help, the 3 divine colleges and the 3 clear divine nations would definitely not give up on killing Yi Qinghan. I can guarantee that the 3 divine colleges and the 10 overlords will help. However, this is not enough. The insane sect has 8 high gods. Although they have just broken through, their cultivation is not weak. Therefore, we need the help of the experts in the Ravenous Wolf dimension. You take the godhoods, and my god's organization will occupy the mythological plane. What do you think? High God Wu Yu's eyes shone brightly. It seemed like he had been planning to occupy the mythological plane for a long time. Ravenous Wolf Exalted was silent for a moment. Then, he smiled evilly and said to himself, not only do I want to get the godhoods, I also want to occupy the entire mythological plane. Since you want to use me, I will use you. When the time comes, none of you will live. All right. Tomorrow, I will bring 13 high god shrines to the mythological plane. I want to see how he is going to establish the mythological plane. Ravenous Wolf Exalted sneered. After High God Wu Yu confirmed that Ravenous Wolf Exalted would interfere with the establishment of the Mad Dragon Empire, he retreated and went to the planar battlefield. He contacted the experts of the various armies and a war for the mythological plane began quietly. However, at this moment the insane sect knew nothing about it. Moreover, with so many high god shrines gathered in the insane sect's territory, they were confident that no one could threaten their position. Chapter 7:13. The sky gradually brightened up, and the water vapor formed dew droplets that fell from the willow leaves. The city guards began their patrol, and the streets were filled with experts from all over the place. In the crazed manner, even the strongest experts had to walk like an ordinary person. No one dared to fly around. There were a few hedonistic disciples who took advantage of their family background and ran amok in the crazed manner. They flew in the sky and burrowed into the ground, trying to steal people's attention. However, they were caught and had their legs chopped off, the kind that could never be repaired. Regardless of whether it was a high-level god priest or a middle-level chief, they had to follow the will of the crazed manor. The natives were excited and proud. Outside the crazed manor, 3,000 tables were set up for the banquet, enough for 30,000 people to sit around. The crazed sect had only invited 8,000 experts, which was not a small number. Those who were invited were all overlords, manor lords, and divine masters of divine nations. Yi Qinghan stood on a huge carriage that was out in the open like a dragon throne. Yi Qintian, Yi Shushan, and his sister were all here. The golden boy and jade girl, as well as the inner sect disciples, were all brought here by Di Long Tian. The 8,000 experts sat together with their friends, and the inner sect experts sat at the table closest to Yi Qinghan. The rest of the tables near Yi Qinghan were the high-level god priests, the overlords, the high-level god priests, and the top elders of the divine academies. One of the tables was supported by 4 little sky dragons, but it was carved out of wood and looked very lifelike. On top of it, there were many supreme-grade divine fruits and the best-grade drunken god brew. The 3 divine masters, the top old monsters, and the 3 deans of the divine academies sat here. Yu Xingyang sat not far away from Yi Qinghan. Yu Aoran, Yu Jie, and Yu Luo stood behind him. It was obvious that they were the ones who were given special treatment. However, since Yu Xingyang was able to sit at the front and follow Yi Qinghan closely, no one dared to say anything. Although many people in the entire mythical dimension wanted to kill this legendary and wise Almighty, they had no choice but to respect him. Thank you, everyone, for coming today. The Crazed Manor has officially established its nation. Its name is Crazed Dragon, and its capital is the Crazed Manor. I, Yi Qinghan, will be the first lord of the Crazed Manor. In 4 years, when the foundation of the nation has stabilized, there will be someone suitable to lead the nation from the inner sect. Yi Qinghan stood in front of the table and stared at the crowd. His voice was deep and mighty as he continued, I have invited all the heroes and overlords to this banquet because I want to say that the Crazed Manor has no intention of expanding. We only want to develop peacefully. We don't cause trouble, but we are not afraid of trouble. We welcome those who are willing to cooperate with us. If you want to be our enemy, the Crazed Manor has 3 million aces and dozens of inner sect brothers and sisters. We can advance or retreat as we wish. Yi Qinghan's domineering aura poured out like a human emperor. His eyes were like torches, and no one dared to look directly at him. Only the 3 divine masters stared at Yi Qinghan. The Crazed Dragon Empire had just been established, and yet he was already so domineering. This made them unhappy, but there was nothing they could do about it. Martial Destruction and the Holy Dragon Divine Kingdom were fine. After all, Longyuan and Martial Destruction's patriarchs were on good terms with Yi Qinghan, so they felt that these words were not directed at them. However, the 3 divine colleges and the 3 pure divine kingdoms people did not feel the same way. They only felt that Yi Qinghan was trying to intimidate them. Congratulations to Divine Lord Yi for establishing the country. The Holy Dragon Divine Kingdom will support the Crazed Manor's development. We are willing to become allies and advance and retreat together. Longyuan was the first to stand up. He wanted to make up for his mistake in the Divine Tomb, so he did not hesitate to announce the Holy Dragon Divine Kingdom's position. With Longyuan on Yi Qinghan's side, the Holy Dragon Divine Lord naturally could not go against the Patriarch's will. Martial Destruction's Patriarch also announced his position. With the 2 divine kingdoms supporting the Crazed Manor, the Crazed Manor's power in the mythological plane would not be shaken. The 3 pure divine kingdom did not express their position. Losing a third of their territory was already a humiliation. If they went to curry favor with the Crazed Manor, they would become a laughingstock. Many people were flattering him verbally, but in their hearts, they wanted the Crazed Manor to collapse and be suppressed by a powerful force. Yi Qinghan did not care. Everyone knew that. Today is not only the day that the Crazed Dragon Divine Kingdom is established. There is also a second announcement. The Crazed Manor and the Upright Sun Chamber of Commerce are officially connected by marriage. The Upright Sun Chamber of Commerce will move their headquarters to the Yuyang residence in 3 days. Yi Qinghan said in a low voice. No. Yi Qinghan, don't go too far. Qing Zhengshan, the principal of the Heavenly Imperial College, rebuked angrily. When it came to the interests of the Heavenly Imperial College, they stood firm and refuted on the spot, not giving any face. Yi Qinghan's eyes flashed coldly. He looked at Qing Zhengshan and said lightly, what do you think is wrong? Marriage? Or moving the Chamber of Commerce? None of them. Everyone knows how much the Heavenly Imperial College has sacrificed for the Upright Sun Chamber of Commerce. What are they doing? Burning the bridge after crossing the river? Abandoning the Heavenly Imperial College just because they found a new backer? Qing Zhengshan was incomparably angry. He looked coldly at Yu Zhengyang and said hoarsely, Yu Zhengyang, you've been smart all your life, but stupid this time. Are you really old? I respect you, but have you respected the Heavenly Imperial College? Yu Zhengyang looked calmly at Qing Zhengshan. The 2 wise elders were dazzling, neither of them backing down. Zhengshan, you and I have known each other for hundreds of thousands of years. We should all know. Indeed, the Heavenly Imperial College has helped the Upright Sun Chamber of Commerce a lot. However, there is a price to pay. It's an equal trade. The Upright Sun Chamber of Commerce paid for the bodyguards, but it doesn't mean that I owe you a favor. Not to mention being ungrateful and burning the bridge after crossing the river. Now that I'm nearing the end of my life and the Chamber of Commerce is declining, is it wrong for me to find a trustworthy ally for the Yu clan? My Chamber of Commerce is not your property. What I want to do is not up to you. The marriage between the Yu clan and the crazed manor is a private matter. Isn't the Heavenly Imperial College's hand too far? Yu Xingyang said coldly. Are you saying that you can't trust me and the Heavenly Imperial College? Are you saying that I'm unreliable in front of everyone? Qin Jingshan asked angrily. Only you know whether I'm reliable or not. Also, the teachers and students of the Heavenly Imperial College want to swallow the Upright Sun Chamber of Commerce's assets. They want to make a move when I'm still alive. If I die one day, will there be anyone who can intimidate them? Yu Xingyang retorted without giving him any face. He was determined to cooperate with the crazed manor. I'll give you an explanation for this matter. However, your Chamber of Commerce cannot move. The agreement from back then is a contract. Qin Jingshan said domineeringly. Everyone was silent as they watched the two factions fight. The Upright Sun Chamber of Commerce could be said to be able to cover the sky with one hand. However, it wasn't in terms of battle. The lifeline of life and death was in the hands of the Heavenly Imperial College. The Heavenly Imperial College didn't dare to make a move because they were afraid of damaging their reputation. They were also afraid that Yu Xingyang wasn't dead and could turn the situation around. Yi Qinghan sneered and said indifferently, the marriage is an internal matter between the two factions. It's not up to an outsider like you to decide. I'm announcing it today to inform everyone, not to ask for your opinion. I hope you can maintain your identity. A guest is a guest. Chapter 7:14. Yi Qinghan was strong, but Qin Jingshan refused to back down. The atmosphere suddenly became tense. A gentle breeze blew through their hair. Everyone looked up to see the most powerful Tian Ke Divine College and Quang Manor in a standoff. The cultivators from Tian Ke Divine College all came to Qin Jingshan's aid, hoping to force Yi Qinghan to back down. Jingshan, don't force me to move the entire Upright Sun Chamber of Commerce out of Tian Ke Divine College's territory. I want to move the business, that's my own idea. Otherwise, why would I participate in the Quang Long Empire's founding ceremony? Therefore, some people don't need to create an atmosphere to make it seem like Quang Fu is bullying others. Everyone can see the attitude of Quang Fu's people and the atmosphere in their territory. I like this kind of place where everyone is equal. I dare say that the outer sect disciples of Quang Fu would never bully the commoners. Do you dare to say that your own people can do that? Yu Xingyang asked coldly. Qin Jingshan was silent. The benefits of Upright Sun Chamber of Commerce were too great. Without it, Tian Ke Divine College would collapse. Tian Ke Divine College had long regarded Upright Sun Chamber of Commerce as their own property. How could they allow others to covet it? Upright Sun Chamber of Commerce is very sure that we will move our headquarters to Yuyang Mansion. We will not change because of anyone's will. As long as I am alive, Upright Sun Chamber of Commerce will still be mine. We will not become meat in the mouths of others. Yu Xingyang was incomparably majestic. Although he was not strong, he made people feel the pressure that surpassed that of a superior god. Qin Jingshan snorted coldly and asked indifferently, Yu Xingyang, you and I have known each other for hundreds of thousands of years. Are you prepared to fight to the death with me? Don't you care about the lives of your people? Half of Upright Sun Chamber of Commerce is from Divine College. As long as I give the order, half of Upright Sun Chamber of Commerce's assets will change owners. None of your people or people will live. Are you threatening me? Since I dared to come here today and announce this matter, I am fully prepared. My Yu clan can bear the loss of a few people. Yu Xingyang replied sternly. Then what about your Yu clan's headquarters? Don't you want them too? They are all in my Tian-Ke territory. Qin Jingshan had shed all pretense of cordiality, and was about to make a move against the Yu clan. How dare you? Yu Xingyang was enraged. He stood up hurriedly and almost lost his balance. The other people from the other god colleges and god nations all frowned. They felt that Tian-Ke College was too shameless to threaten Yu Xingyang in front of so many people. In any case, it was a proper college. How could they do things like an evil sect? The various overlords were no longer willing to take sides as they fell silent. At this moment, if both sides were to engage in a life-and-death battle, whoever participated in the battle would be annihilated. Yi Qinghan sneered. Seeing that Qin Jingshan had become angry out of humiliation and had spoken such words without thinking, he no longer held back and said sternly, Qin Jingshan, since you've said so, don't blame me for not giving you face. Upright Sun Chamber of Commerce now owns 30% of my Crazed Manor's profits. If you touch Upright Sun Chamber of Commerce, you'll be stealing my Crazed Manor's wealth and declaring war on my Crazed Manor. My Crazed Manor has a marriage alliance with the Yu clan, so if you kill the Yu clan's people, you're killing my Crazed Manor's relatives. If you can resist my million cavalry and inner sect experts, then attack. If you can't, then I'll erase your Tian-Ke Divine Academy from the mythical realm. Hua! The inner sect experts all stood up and released their auras. The auras of the 8 superior gods and Yi Qinghan's aura pushed Qin Jingshan back a few steps. Boom! Xiao Xingyang, Canon King, and the others also stood up. There were a total of 17 superior gods. Including the inner sect experts, there were 25 superior gods, which was more than the number of superior gods in the entire mythical realm. At this moment, they were staring coldly at Qin Jingshan. Qin Jingshan's face was pale. The various overlords were so scared that they could not raise their heads. Just the attitude of these superior gods was enough to wipe out the mythical realm's 3 god nations and 3 god colleges. Moreover, 2 of the god nations' attitudes were biased towards Crazy Manor. There was no way they could fight. Under normal circumstances, the superior gods would not participate in the battle, nor would they take sides. However, the 14 superior gods from the greedy wolf dimension did not hesitate to take sides. This made the powerhouses from the mythical dimension break out in cold sweat. In addition, Xiao Xingyang and Xian Qingzun were the slaves of the insane sect. The mythical realm was the weakest among the middle realms. There were very few superior gods, and their hearts were not united. They could not achieve anything. Qin Jingshan's face turned ugly. His fingertips trembled as he looked at the other superior gods. If they did not support Tian-Ke College would not be able to fight against Crazy Manor. However, the 2 god nations did not say anything. The other 2 colleges did not say anything. The 4 god nations' superior gods also did not say anything. Qin Jingshan was furious. The Shangqing High God and the other experts muttered in their hearts, Crazy Manor has 8 superior gods. In addition to Yi Qinghan's strength, Xiao Xingyang, the Canon King, and Xian Qingzun, there are 12 of them. The 7 superior gods that Yi Qinghan saved and brought with him are now firmly on Crazy Manor's side. There are also Yu Aoran and the Evil Lord. That's 28 superior gods. The entire mythical realm had to unite to fight against Crazy Manor. But if they are not united, who dares to be the leader? Yi Qinghan's attitude was clear. He did not care about being the enemy of the world. As long as the world dared to be the enemy of Crazy Manor, he would fight. You talk big. No wonder you dare to kill the people of the 9th mountain. A cold voice sounded from the sky. A palm tore through the void. It ignored space and time and smashed towards Crazy Manor. The huge palm covered the sky and covered the sun. The sky above Crazy Manor was dark. Many people were shocked to death. Ha! The Cannon King raised his sword and slashed at the sky. A ray of sword light shot into the sky and tore through the darkness. The huge palm dissipated, and the sky turned blue again. The people of the 9th mountain were here. They knew that Yi Qinghan and the others had killed 9 warlords and the others. A figure was followed by 7 or 8 warriors, all of whom were high-level gods. They tore through space and time and arrived above the crazed manor. Everyone looked up and saw that it was the mountain master of the 9 linked mountains. His hair was white, but he was full of vigor. His temples were bulging, and he was full of divine energy and life essence. He was almost at the level of the 9 Serenities Lord, or even comparable to the latter. Yi Qinghan was shocked. He did not expect the 9th mountain to find out that he had killed 9 warlords in the tomb of the gods. What? You dare to do it but don't dare to admit it? You and Li Feng worked together to kill 8 or 9 deacon elders of the 9th mountain. Do you still need me to find you a witness? The mountain lord of the 9th mountain asked coldly. Everyone was shocked. The 9th mountain had always been a high and mighty existence. They had never participated in the affairs of the world. It was rumored that they had existed since the ancient times. Most of the people there had the bloodline of the master gods. Their cultivation was ridiculously strong. The number of superior gods in the 9th mountain was probably more than the number of superior gods in the entire mythological plane. Yi Qinghan would have a hard time after offending them. Chapter 7:15. With the arrival of the 9 linked mountains, Qing Jingshan's confidence was greatly boosted. His face darkened as he coldly shouted, Yi Qinghan, you really have some guts. You even dare to kill someone from the 9 linked mountains. No wonder you have no respect for my Tian-Ke Divine Academy. Yi Qinghan was extremely calm, but the Shangqinghai deity was no longer calm. Li Feng was actually involved in killing the people of Mount 9 linked. He couldn't help but feel a little angry. This Li Feng's ability to stir up trouble was truly not small. Last time, he had taken a beating from the 9 remoteness master on behalf of the Shangqinghai deity. Was he going to be beaten by the 9 remoteness master again this time? However, he didn't expect that if it weren't for Li Feng, Yi Qinghan wouldn't have been able to bring him out of the tomb of the gods. Mountain Lord, I didn't know about Li Feng's matter, and I won't ask about it. From now on, I have no relationship with him. The high god immediately cut ties with him and cupped his fists. It's best that it has nothing to do with you. Those who have nothing to do with it, leave the crazed manor immediately. Today's matter is between the 9 linked mountain and the crazed manor, the mountain lord said coldly. The various overlords didn't dare to stay any longer. They didn't even bother with the most basic of pleasantries. They turned and left the crazed manor's territory, ignoring the rules of the crazed manor that forbade flying. Yi Qinghan raised his eyebrows and looked coldly at the world. Some people like to provide help in times of need, some like to add flowers to embroidery, and some even like to add insult to injury. When there was no danger, no one knew who could be trusted. The high god priests who had nothing to do with Yi Qinghan left. Only the experts from the 3 major schools and the divine nations remained. However, the dozen or so high god priests from the ravenous wolf plain were unwavering. They still stood on either side of Yi Qinghan. The people from the inner sect couldn't leave either. Thousands of experts left in an instant. The 9 linked mountain lord looked coldly at the experts from the 3 divine nations and divine college. He asked indifferently, what about you? What's the point of staying here? To destroy the crazed manor, of course. This Yi Qinghan has gone too far, using his power to bully others. This old man has long disliked him. Qing Jingshan said without hesitation. Now that someone had taken the lead, Skybreaker and the experts from Desolation God Academy immediately took sides and stared coldly at Yi Qinghan. With the mountain master of the 9 linked mountains around, why would they care about the 9 underworlds master? The 4 upper-level god priests of the 3 clear divine kingdom stood on the side of the 9 links mountain master without hesitation. Their gazes were vicious, and they were determined to take back a third of the territory. Long Yuan decided not to miss out on another opportunity. He stood on Yi Qinghan's side without hesitation. The Holy Dragon Divine Kingdom's divine master hesitated. However, since Long Yuan had chosen a side, he could not stand on the opposite side. He retreated to the side and watched from the sidelines. Ever since the martial-breaking old ancestor worked with Yi Qinghan, he firmly believed that Yi Qinghan would be able to turn the situation around. The martial-breaking Divine Kingdom's Divine Master had never doubted the martial-breaking old ancestor's decisions, but now he did. The 9 linked mountains was a high and mighty existence. Now, 9 upper-level god priests and a terrifying existence like the Mountain Master had arrived. It would not be beneficial to go against the 9 linked mountains now. The martial-breaking Divine Kingdom will remain neutral, the Divine Master said firmly. The martial-breaking old ancestor glared angrily at the Divine Master and scolded sternly, "Unfilial son, have you grown up?" "Divine Master, this matter has nothing to do with the martial-breaking Divine Kingdom. There is no need for us to get involved. I have the entire Divine Kingdom behind me. I have to think for my people. Divine Master, please don't blame me," the martial-breaking Divine Master said in a low voice. Yi Qinghan waved his hand, indicating that the martial-breaking old ancestor did not need to be so calculative. He was very calm at the moment. Since the Mountain Master of the 9 linked mountains did not dare to act immediately, it meant that he was still somewhat afraid of the 9 underworlds master. It was good that he had some misgivings. He was just afraid that the 9 underworlds master would go crazy and wipe out the entire territory. "Mountain Chieftain, are you here to reason with me or to use your fists?" Yi Qinghan raised his eyes and asked. "So what if I reason? So what if I use my fists?" The Mountain Master appeared in front of them. His white hair danced in the wind as his majesty filled the sky. It was as if an ancient divine master had descended. He was incomparably powerful. "If I reason with you, then I'll explain why I killed those people. If you want to use your fists, then there's no need for me to explain. Let's go to God-ending mountain and fight to the death. Don't implicate my people. If I lose, then I die. If I win, then let's see if I can kill you all," Yi Qinghan said indifferently. "Ha ha ha, fine. Then I'll reason with you first. Let's see what reason you have to kill the disciples of the 9 linked mountains," the Mountain Master said coldly. "Dare I ask, Mountain Master, if you were searching for treasures in a very dangerous place and a group of unknown and untrustworthy people were following you? You tried to reason with them and ask them to leave, but they were unwilling to leave and continued to follow you. Moreover, they could attack you at any time when you found a treasure. What would you do?" Yi Qinghan asked indifferently. "Humph, of course I'd kill." The Mountain Master snorted. "That's right. It seems like Mountain Master still approves of my decision," Yi Qinghan replied. When the 9 linked Mountain Master heard this, his face instantly turned cold. He said sternly, "Are the disciples of the 9 linked mountains people of unknown origins? Would they attack you at any time? From what I know, you killed them one by one because you ambushed them. It's not that easy to deceive this old man. I'll give you 2 choices now. First, kneel down and sincerely admit your mistakes. Second, I'll beat you until you kneel down. Are the people of the 9 linked mountains trustworthy? I'm not wrong. I won't kneel down to you." Yi Qinghan said angrily. "Then you're making an enemy of the 9 linked mountains." The 9 linked mountain master said coldly. "So what if I'm an enemy? If you dare to make a move in Quang Manor's territory and accidentally injure one of my people, then you can pray that you can kill me on the spot. If you can't, then I'll make your 9 linked mountains restless." Yi Qinghan flicked his sleeves and said to the inner sect disciples, "High God priests, follow me to God Extinction Mountain Range. The rest of you, stay here. Do you think you can leave alive today? A majestic voice came from afar. It was God's organizations Wurilus and Qian Kuan. They had brought 4 high god priests with them, and there were more than 10 half-step high gods. In the blink of an eye, they appeared above Kuang Manor. At this time, Kuang Manor had nearly 30 high gods, but they had no advantage at all. The Lord of the Nine Links Mountain had brought 8, Wurilus and Qian Kuan had brought another 4, plus 4 from the Sanqing Divine Kingdom, 6 from the 3 great academies, and 3 others whom they were on good terms with. That was a total of 27 people. Including the Lord of the Nine Links Mountain himself, these people were all veteran higher god priests. Even if the Lord of the Nine Links Mountain were to come in person, he would not have the upper hand. Yi Qinghan frowned. He did not expect the Nine-Linked Mountain Master to show up all of a sudden. He had underestimated the people of the world. Yi Qinghan, kneel and accept your death. The people of the inner sect, kill yourselves. I will treat the people of Kuang Manor well. I won't kill them, but if you dare to resist, not a single blade of grass will survive in Kuang Manor. Wurilus said with a cruel grin. You. Yi Qinghan asked disdainfully. Of course I can't do it, but what if the 5 great armies of the planar battlefield and the greedy wolf high god of the greedy wolf plain are here in person? High god Wurilus grinned. The high gods of the greedy wolf plain were startled. They did not expect the greedy wolf high god's men to be here. Did Kuang Manor still have a chance? Sure enough, in less than 10 breaths, Greedy Wolf High Holiness had brought more than 10 masters, all of whom were high-level godly worshippers. This time, the crazed mansion didn't even have the advantage in numbers. Dong dong dong, the sound of drums in the Northgard fortress suddenly shook the sky and echoed across the clouds. A strong murderous aura lingered in the air. It was clearly the sound of a strong enemy approaching. Woo woo woo. The horns of the Yayang fortress were blown at the same time. It was a solemn sight. A strong murderous aura burst out of the fortress. The Steel Dragon army had expanded to 400,000 soldiers. 400,000 soldiers of the Steel Dragon army was enough to stop a strong army in the planar battlefield. Yi Qinghan's expression shifted. He did not expect the Kuang Dragon Empire to be in such a serious situation so soon after it was established. They did not even have time to expand. 2 armies had arrived at the Yayang fortress. Even though they did not charge forward, their auras were outstanding. The armies of the planar battlefield were clearly not ordinary. The 2 armies were still outside the Northgard fortress. They could break through the Northgard fortress defense at any second. Chapter 7:16. Outside the Northgard fortress, the 2 armies were waiting for God's organization's signal. Once the battle between the superior gods started, the siege would begin immediately. Yi Qinghan chuckled when he saw the army and experts approaching. My arrogant sect is quite proud to have attracted so many experts from the mythical plane and the greedy wolf plane. More than 80% of them are from the superior gods. It seems like the Mountain Master and the Greedy Wolf Exalted Highness are going to take me down with them, regardless of the cost. Yi Qinghan asked calmly. Take you down with them? Is the arrogant sect really that capable? You have no advantage in terms of numbers, nor do you have any advantage in terms of strength. How are you going to take us down with you? Superior God Wuyo said with a disdainful grin. Why? Don't you know? My master has never interfered with these matters, but it doesn't mean I won't do anything when I'm being bullied by 2 superior gods, Yi Qinghan said calmly. Yi Qinghan secretly held the communication golden talisman in his hand as he spoke. He was trying to contact the 9 Serenities Master, but the 9 Serenities Master was busy comprehending the Eagle Strike's 9 heavens. He had no time to respond to Yi Qinghan. The 9 Serenities Master had concealed himself and was focusing on cultivating his secret arts. Yi Qinghan began to feel nervous after receiving no response for a long time. However, he remained calm on the surface. He stood in front of the two superior gods and stared at them. The Nine Serenities Master is your master. It's been a while since I last saw him. His time is almost up. I wonder how long he can last, the greedy wolf Exalted Highness chuckled. He did not treat the Nine Serenities Master seriously. Even if the Nine Serenities Master is here, do you think he can stand a chance against me and the greedy wolf Exalted Highness? In order to not implicate the innocent, I advise you to kneel down and follow me. You'll be at my mercy. Otherwise, I'll raze this place to the ground today. Even if Nine Nether comes personally, he'll only be sending himself to his death. The Mountain Master and the greedy wolf Exalted Highness still cared about the Nine Serenities Master. Otherwise, they would have made their move long ago. They were trying to suppress the arrogant sect and shatter their Tao hearts. The arrogant sect would never rise again. They would crush the arrogant sect when the time came. Whoosh! The people of the inner sect surrounded them resolutely and drew their swords. They were not afraid of them when they were still intermediate gods. Now that they had been promoted to superior gods, their combat power had increased by leaps and bounds. They felt that even superior gods were not unkillable. Xiao Xingyang, Pao King, and Xian Qing Zun also came over. Their eyes were cold but firm. Xiao Xingyang, Xian Qing supremacy, I won't make things difficult for you or your clansmen, considering that you're both righteous and hardworking. Now, piss off. Greedy Wolf Exalted said coldly. The Xiao clan no longer has anything to do with me. Today's matter is between me and the Kuang sect. Please do not implicate others, Xiao Xingyang said in a low voice. This old man is all alone. If it wasn't for Divine Lord Yi, I would have died in the tomb of the gods. Returning it to him today can be considered as one thing off my mind, Xian Qing Zun said indifferently. While they were communicating, Yi Qinghan gave up on contacting the Lord of Nine Serenities. Instead, he contacted the person with other pupils. Her strength was unfathomable. Together with the Space Divine Beast, the Thunder Cat, she only needed to restrain either the Lord of Nine-Linked Mountain or Greedy Wolf Exalted. He would join forces with Emperor Yi to resist the other. It was hard to tell who would win this battle. Don't forget, Yi Qinghan also had a Space Divine Beast by his side. It was the son of the giant dragon, Pai Xiu. Thousands of miles away, in the valley of God Extinction Mountain, the person with other pupils was actually cultivating diligently. Suddenly, the message charm beside her shone brightly. She frowned. Only two people knew about her message charm. One was her master, and the other was Yi Qinghan. Kuang sect, I hope you can help us this time. I will repay you with my life. It was only a few words, but they were as heavy as Mount Tai. The person with other pupils narrowed her eyes. With a wave of her hand, the Thunder Cat appeared in her arms. With a tap of her foot, she shot toward Kuang sect. The person with other pupils did not hesitate to help Yi Qinghan. There were no emotional factors, only feelings. She felt that Yi Qinghan was her lucky star. Ever since she met Yi Qinghan, she had obtained the Thunder Cat, a superior deity weapon, and even a defensive superior deity weapon. Sometimes, fortune was fleeting. The person with other pupils wanted to seize it. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. In less than the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, the man with the strange pupils appeared above Kuang Fu. He arrived in front of Kuang Fu with the lightning cat in his arms. He didn't even say a word before standing on Yi Qinghan's side. Kuang Fu was at a disadvantage. The moment Yi Qinghan saw the person with other pupils appear, he waved his hand and threw out hundreds of divine pills. Heaven reversal pills, strength recovery pills, all kinds of divine pills and elixirs obtained from the tomb of the gods, 3 for each person. These 3 divine pills were equivalent to each person having an extra life. It was equivalent to more than doubling the number of superior gods in Kuang's sect. The divine bird also generously took out its own bottle of divine medicine and shouted, "Brothers, let's kill these bastards. This divine pill will guarantee that you won't die." Shio shio shio. Another 2 divine pills appeared in each person's hand. Together with these 2 divine pills, who would be afraid of death? During a battle, if one had 3 or 4 lives, it would be easy for one person to kill 2 or 3 experts of the same level. Moreover, the inner sect members were all people who fought without regard for their lives. Kwang sect's morale began to rise. Yi Qinghan coldly looked at the heroes and said sternly, "I still say the same thing. If you want to fight, you better come with me outside God's End Mountain. Do not implicate your people. Otherwise, I will not spare a single one of them." Arrogant. Do you think you can fight us just because you have 2 space divine beasts and a person with other pupils? This is not the tomb of the gods. Our divine energy will not be suppressed. Since you refuse to give up, I will let you watch your brothers and sisters die one by one in front of you. Greedwolf exalted coldly said. "Let's go." Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Greedwolf and 9 linked mountain lord led more than 40 superior god priests towards God's End Mountain range. Kwang sect only had 30 superior god priests. They did not have the battle strength of Greedwolf and 9 Nether. They did not seem to have any advantage. However, Yi Qinghan revealed a sinister smile. He clenched his fist and said inwardly, "Today, don't blame me for being merciless. I will make God's End Mountain a true land of the gods. Little Tian, stay here and guard Kwang sect. I am worried that someone will attack this place. I will be at ease if you stay here." Yi Qinghan looked at Di Longtian and the other inner sect disciples who had yet to break through and said in a deep voice. Di Longtian and the others hugged their swords. They were very angry, but they were not superior god priests. They could not fight with their lives. "Let's go. We will definitely win the Battle of God's End Mountain. I have a backup plan. Don't worry." Yi Qinghan reassured everyone and took the lead to charge towards God's End Mountain. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The clear sky suddenly turned dark as if a storm was coming. The citizens of Kwang Dragon Empire prayed sincerely, hoping that Kwang sect could survive this crisis. A large amount of faith power surged into Yi Qinghan's spiritual sea, surging and roaring. Chapter 7:17. The sky was filled with dark clouds. The mountain, the water, and the sky were all filled with a murderous aura. "There's a valley in front of the God Extinction Mountain. Don't hold back there. Put the elixir in your mouth and beat them into the God Extinction Mountain at all costs. The bigger the commotion, the better. This time, I want to unify the entire mythical plane." Yi Qinghan said in a deep voice. Everyone in the mythical plane knew that the God Extinction Mountain was the real God Extinction Mountain. Although the superior god didn't go there, the mansion master would definitely die if he went in. Until now, the only person who came out alive was Yi Qinghan. Who knew that the second sorcerer god was hiding there? The second sorcerer god, the son of the chaos giant god, represented a supreme inheritance. He was more terrifying than the master gods. No one knew how long he had lived. His physical body had lost its vitality, but he was still lingering in the world with a special method. No one knew how powerful he was. Yi Qinghan couldn't rely on the 9 Serenities master. He could only pray that the sorcerer god would take action. Even if the second sorcerer god's guardian took action, it would be able to kill Greed or the 9 Serenities mountain master. Greed and the 9 Serenities mountain master didn't know that the place they were heading to was more terrifying than the 9 Serenities. When they arrived in front of the mountain, they were alarmed by the murderous aura inside. They frowned and looked at the valley. "What is this place?" Greed frowned. This godforsaken place made him feel the aura of death. People in the Greed plane didn't know. Even the 9 Serenities Mountain Master didn't know the origin of the God Extinction Mountain. Only the Prime Clear High God had heard of it. "Everyone, this is the God Extinction Mountain. I heard that it was an ancient battlefield. Countless people died and it became a cursed land. Anyone who entered would be cursed. Even a middle perfection great sage would die if he entered. I've only heard of it, but this legend can't be taken seriously. Therefore, I've never entered to investigate." The Prime Clear High God said calmly. God Extinction Mountain. Greedy Wolf High Holiness was disdainful. He looked down upon the entire mythical plane. If it weren't for the 9 linked mountains, he could destroy the mythical plane in a matter of minutes. When he heard the name of the ultimate God, he sneered and said, "I'd like to see what kind of misfortune this place has to stop the supreme gods." The Greedy Wolf exalted and the experts of the Greedy Wolf Plane were disdainful. They did not wait for Yi Qinghan and the others to rush in. This was also the first time that the 9-linked mountain lord had heard of this place. Very curious, he led the group deeper into the mountain range. The 4 gods of the 3 pure divine kingdom hesitated for a moment. Seeing that the dozens of superior gods had all gone in, they knew that no one could hurt them unless the main god came personally. So, they followed them in. Yi Qinghan rushed over from afar with the 7-foot crazed hammer in his hand and Emperor Yi on his shoulder. He maintained his battle stance, and when he saw that these people had actually taken the initiative to run into God's End Mountain, he immediately sneered and thought to himself, "You really don't want to take the path to heaven, but you just have to barge into the gates of hell." Whoosh! The 30 people of the crazed mansion flew towards God's End Mountain. The few superior gods of the mythical plane seemed to know about God's End Mountain and stopped in their tracks. "God Lord Yi, this is God's End Mountain. Can we really go in?" Long Yuan asked with a frown. The martial arts grand ancestor stopped in front of the valley. "God's End Mountain. Outsiders really can't enter, but I have no problem. Follow me in and make a big commotion. I want to see the look of regret on the faces of the Greedy Wolf Exalted and the 9-linked Mountain Lord." Yi Qinghan chuckled and rushed in with Emperor Yi. Whoosh! As soon as the Greedy Wolf Exalted entered God's End Mountain, a gust of cold wind blew past, causing the superior gods to tremble. The world in front of them was even more desolate than hell. There was no sign of life at all. There was not even a single blade of grass. Apart from crushed gravel and ghastly deep ravines, there was nothing else. The broken bones had been weathered and turned into powder when the cold wind blew. The broken weapons had also decayed. One could imagine how fierce the battles between the armies were during the ancient times. The entire mountain and river were red and dim. It made one feel hopeless. Hiss! Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air, especially the higher-level priests. They didn't know that there was such a gloomy and cold place in the mythological dimension. The moment they entered this place, they felt a gloomy and cold aura drilling into their bodies. Even their divine clothes couldn't protect them. The power of the curse began to appear, and the exalted god felt goosebumps all over his body. He had the same reaction as Yi Qinghan and the others back then. Some of the higher-level priests with weaker cultivations and weak minds fell into the illusion on the spot. Their pupils constricted, and their eyes were filled with fear. "Humph! Who are you? How dare you play tricks here? Are you looking for death?" The Greedy Wolf Exalted scolded. Boom! His voice exploded, rumbling endlessly, rushing into the depths. Even space itself was trembling. In the depths, a vague figure was floating. Even the superior gods like the Greedy Wolf Exalted and the Master of the 9-linked Mountain could not see it clearly. "Sinners who disturb the slumber of the heroic spirits, you will die in fear. I curse you to see misfortune and die in despair." The intermittent curse exploded in the sea of consciousness of the heroes. The Master of the 9-linked Mountain felt disgusted. He yelled, "This is the curse of the wizard tribe of the chaos. Get out of here. However, many people's eyes were filled with fear. The more powerful one was, the stronger the power of the curse. The master of the nine-linked mountain and the greedy wolf exalted felt as if thousands of mountains were pressing down on their heads. Their legs were heavier than lead. They wanted to retreat, but their legs would not listen to them. Kill. Ah. Those who were not strong enough started to hallucinate. They pulled out their swords and slashed as if they had fallen into an ancient battlefield. There were thousands of enemies in front of them. The superior gods were everywhere. They were the lowest level of cannon fodder. Boom! The greedy wolf exalted was a powerhouse after all. His soul was strong. He blocked the curse for the time being. He charged backward, wanting to leave God Extinction Mountain. His foot shattered mountains and rivers. His aura was terrifying. However, Mountain Lord Nine-Linked charged in the opposite direction. He tore through the void with his palm in an attempt to suppress the afterimage. He knew that in order to break the curse technique, he had to kill the person who cast the curse technique. That afterimage could very well be the person who cast the curse technique. Whoosh! The giant palm that blotted out the sky shattered time and space. Sand and pebbles flew from the ground. His combat strength was on full display. It made the world understand how terrifying a half-step Lord-level ability was. The Master of the Nine-Linked Mountains attack helped some people break free from the terrifying illusion. However, their souls were weak, and their auras were about to freeze. They did not have much combat strength left. They could only watch as the Master of the Nine-Linked Mountain pounced on the afterimage. Boom! When the giant palm that blotted out the sky approached the afterimage, the Guardian's combat strength was activated. He casually waved his hand and counterattacked. He shattered the giant palm with a punch. The punch was unstoppable. It landed on the Master of the Nine-Linked Mountain's chest. Pfft! The Master of the Nine-Linked Mountain coughed up blood and flew backward. He shot toward the heroes like an arrow. His body almost exploded. Everyone's pupils shrank. That afterimage was too terrifying. Was it a lord? The Master of the Nine-Linked Mountain could not withstand a single blow from him. Chapter 7:18. The Master of Nine-Linked Mountain's eyeballs almost popped out of his head. He flew backward for thousands of meters, leaving a trail of flames on the ground. Even his divine robe was shattered. Cough, cough, cough. The Nine-Linked Mountain Master's tears and snot, along with his blood essence, spurted out of his 7 orifices. Only then did he understand what the land of ultimate gods was. After injuring the Master of Nine-Linked Mountain, the shadow didn't attack again. Instead, it floated in the air and murmured curses. Day after day, year after year. The power of the curse grew even stronger. Perhaps it was infuriated by the Master of Nine-Linked Mountain, as it drifted to the outside. All the heroes retreated in fear, cursing the greedy wolf High Holiness for taking the initiative to lead them in while he himself fled to the outside. However, before the greedy wolf exalted reached the valley, 30 experts rushed out of the valley. They unleashed all their combat strength and divine power. Even the Master of Nine Serenities couldn't take it. Boom! Yi Qinghan took the lead. He slashed with his saber. The saber radiance tore the void apart and charged toward the greedy wolf exalted. Boom! The frenzied blade cannon king pushed forward with his saber like a mountain cannon. He crossed paths with Yi Qinghan. Behind them, 20 experts flew into the sky and burrowed into the ground. It was a magnificent scene. Bang! Greedy Wolf High Holiness had finally escaped from the cursed area. But before he could catch his breath, he bumped into the people of the Kuang sect. He only had time to exert half of his strength to fight against the people of the Kuang sect. He was knocked back thousands of meters and rolled on the ground, coughing up blood. Kill him! Kill him! These people are all meat in our mouths. Boom! Boom! Bang! 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 The 30 experts joined forces. Each of them had a sword, a saber, and a spear. The greedy wolf Exalted was terrified. He wanted to escape, but he had to face the Kuang sect in front and the curse of the Wu tribe behind him. 2 fists couldn't fight against 4 hands. Besides, he was alone and the others were behind him. He couldn't help but take the hits. Xia Ziluo twisted the void. The way of heaven rumbled and the yellow spring appeared. It wanted to devour the greedy wolf Exalted. Yi Qinghan even wished that he could have 3 heads and 6 arms, holding the 10 direction seal in his left hand and the berserker in his right hand while striking at greedy wolf regardless of the cost. He wanted to kill greedy wolf Hai before those people realized what was going on. No. Yi Qinghan, this old man, is willing to retreat with my men. Greedy wolf High Holiness struggled and roared. Even the 9 Serenity's master would have to kneel in front of 30 high-level priests, not to mention him. Whoosh! Whoosh! The ground cracked. Yi Qinghan was not in the mood to listen to Exalted Greedy Wolf's pleas. The entire desolate mountain was torn apart. A deep gully appeared in front of him. Exalted Greedy Wolf was smashed into the ground. 10 directions returned to 1, suppress. The seal of 10 directions continued to enlarge and descend from the sky, pressing into the ravine. Exalted Greedy Wolf High Holiness was terrified. He waved his huge hand and pounced toward the sky, trying to break Yi Qinghan's attack. Once he was suppressed by the seal of 10 directions, he would have no chance to resist. At this moment, the 30 high-level priests abandoned their godly weapons at the same time and poured all their godly energies into the seal of 10 directions. The seal of 10 directions crashed into the huge handprint of Greedy Wolf High Holiness with the willpower of all the great Daos in the world. Boom! Airwaves spread out for tens of thousands of miles. The ground cracked. The seal of 10 directions crashed into the depths of the ravine easily. In the blink of an eye, it crashed into the arm of Greedy Wolf High Holiness. Crack! Exalted Greedy Wolf High Holiness's bones were broken. With a shrill cry, the seal of 10 directions pressed down on his body. Pressed by the 30 high-level priests, Greedy Wolf High Holiness was almost crushed into powder and kept crashing into the depths of the ravine. Blood spurted out. The seal of 10 directions was dyed red. The powerful energy of Greedy Wolf High Holiness shot up into the sky and wounded the high-level priests behind him. In the blink of an eye, Greedy Wolf High Holiness stopped breathing. The crowd flew to the ground and looked at the bottomless hell. Yi Qinghan called back the seal of 10 directions. Then, together with the golden crow, he sent down the flames of the 14th realm. Blood spurted out from the ground and turned into the flames of hell, drowning the ravine. With a shrill scream, Greedy Wolf High Holiness dashed up into the sky like a madman. Bathed in the flames, his energy were ignited. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Emperor Yi played his zither loudly and neutralized Greedy Wolf High Holiness's soul attack. The crowd attacked together again and suppressed Greedy Wolf High Holiness. After being suppressed several times, Greedy Wolf High Holiness was suppressed by the 10 direction seal, and his godly power was exhausted. People couldn't help but exclaim, "This level is so powerful that ordinary people can't resist it." Even a high-level godly priest would be cannon fodder, unless dozens of high-level godly priests worked together. After a long while, Greedy Wolf High Holiness was completely exhausted. The Pai Xiu and the Thundercat pounced into the depths at the same time. A bolt of lightning appeared out of nowhere and tore apart the darkness. The lightning struck Greedy Wolf High Holiness's body directly. Greedy Wolf High Holiness twitched for a while. Then, the Pai Xiu appeared in the sky and broke Greedy Wolf High Holiness's head with its sharp claws. Greedy Wolf High Holiness didn't escape. The Pai Xiu could swallow everything in the world. The Thundercat didn't expect that the Pai Xiu would benefit from it. It was furious and roared at the Pai Xiu. Meow. Roar. The Pai Xiu roared back. The Thundercat's soft hair straightened like steel needles. The Thundercat had no choice but to return in anger. The Pai Xiu swallowed the lower half of Greedy Wolf High Holiness's body without hesitation. A Greedy Wolf High Holiness was killed just like that. He was suppressed by the 10 Directions seal and didn't even have the chance to fight back. At this moment, the 9-linked Mountain Master and his group began to flee. They rushed to the periphery ferociously and unstoppably. Yi Qinghan looked into the depths coldly. He saw that the 9-linked Mountain Master was severely injured and even needed the help of the 9-linked Mountain's experts to fly. Of the 2 High Holiness, one was dead and the other was severely injured. He no longer had any scruples and roared, "Guard this place. Don't let any of them escape." E'en that the experts drew their swords and spears. Their clothes were blood-stained as they glared at the experts who were rushing out from the depths. This group of experts who were courting death suffered great losses. 4 or 5 of them were trapped in the depths by the power of the curse. Even if they managed to escape, they would have to remove all the power of the curse to survive. Otherwise, they would still be waiting for death. How could they have the mood to fight with the crazed manner? Boom! Yi Qinghan stabbed his saber into the ground and summoned the reincarnation mirror. He poured his divine power into it and swept across the 9 heavens, drowning the space-time. Boom! 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 Everything fell into the cycle of reincarnation. Those who were engulfed by the light of destruction didn't have much power to fight back. The reincarnation mirror was a chaos divine artifact that could level up on its own. It grew stronger along with its owner's strength. Now that it was supported by Yi Qinghan, it was easy for it to kill a superior god priest. In an instant, another 3 experts were swept by the light of destruction. One of them had his arm destroyed, another half of his body was engulfed, and the last one was even worse. He was killed instantly. The power of destruction was attached to his injured body. Even the superior god priest couldn't heal him in a short period of time. It was terrifying. The 2 experts immediately gave up on their divine bodies. Their godhood soared into the sky as they tried to escape. Chapter 719. The 9-linked Mountain's Mountain Lord was supported by a few of the 9-linked Mountain's priests as they rushed out. Yi Qinghan was waiting in front of the valley. When they were tens of thousands of meters away, Yi Qinghan put away the reincarnation mirror, drew his blade, and charged at the crowd. Kill! Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Dozens of figures flew into the sky and burrowed into the ground. Their divine weapons tore through time and space. The scene of dozens of high gods charging at Yi Qinghan was quite spectacular. Emperor Yi tapped Yi Qinghan's shoulder with the tip of his foot, and the human Emperor Zither appeared in front of him. His 10 fingers plucked the strings of the zither, and he pulled the strings back before sending them forward. The murderous intent of the melody shattered the 9 heavens as it blasted towards the high god priests. Hum hum hum. Hum hum hum. The sound of the guqin was somber and soul-stirring. It actually triggered the power of the curse within the bodies of the higher-level gods. Back then, Renhuang Yi had helped Lu Zhantian and Mu Xiaoqi dispel the power of the curse, so he could be considered to have some understanding of the power of the curse. He also understood how the power of the curse worked. Under her provocation, the curse elements within the bodies of those cultivators began to strengthen and spread. Boom! Yi Qinghan flew into the crowd with a single step. He brandished his long blade, and anyone who came in contact with him would be sent flying. At the same time, the 10 Directions seal was activated. Those who fought against Yi Qinghan were either killed or injured. With the suppression of the curse energy and Emperor Ye's support, the High God Priest's combat strength was no match for the crazed Manners group. When the 2 armies clashed, the High God Priests began to fall. The lightning cat spat out golden lightning that could suck away all the high god priest's life force. It could even pass through the godhead from a distance. How terrifying! The starving lightning cat and Pai Xiu went crazy and devoured the life force of the high god priests. The more they ate, the more excited they became. Pai Xiu followed beside Yi Qinghan, and any high god who was injured by him was instantly devoured by him. Gu Qingyu, Xian Yanxue, and the others turned into sharp blades and tore apart the enemies. Without Greed Wolf exalted, the experts from the ravenous wolf plain were not in the mood to fight. They only wanted to escape. Meanwhile, the arrogant nine-linked mountains mountain master and the 8 high gods were in a sorry state. Get me out of here first, cough cough cough. The 9-linked mountain lord's face was deathly pale, and he was still coughing up blood. His internal organs had been shattered by that afterimage's punch, and he almost vomited. At this moment, he was extremely vexed. Why did he have to provoke that terrifying afterimage? The 8 high gods surrounded the mountain chieftain and only wanted to bring him out of this place. As for Yi Qinghan, they could kill him at any time. The experts from the 3 clear theocracy and gods organization madly attacked, wanting to crush Yi Qinghan and the people from the crazed manor. This time, they had gathered so many experts. If they could not kill Yi Qinghan, the 9-linked mountain lord would escape, and the experts from the ravenous wolf plain would escape as well. With just a dozen of them, they would not even be enough to fill the gaps between the teeth of the crazed manor. Give up on the ravenous wolf plain. Let them go. Yi Qinghan said without hesitation. When the experts from the ravenous wolf plain heard this, they did not dare to fight with Yi Qinghan and the others. They turned and fled. As soon as they fled, more than a dozen experts were eliminated. There were not many high god priests in the mythological plane to begin with. Yi Qinghan had killed 1, injured 2, and killed another 5 in an instant. There were still 5 experts left in the depths of the ravenous wolf plain due to the curse power. In an instant, there were only 12 experts left. The 30 experts from the crazed manor did not lose a single person. 30 against 12, there was no pressure at all. Boom! 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 30 people surrounded this group of people and beat them up. The mountain master was dragged away by 8 people and had no intention of fighting. The ones who really wanted to fight were Shangqing, Wuyo, Qing Jingshan, and the others. How could they be a match for Yi Qinghan and the others? Yi Qinghan, cough cough. I will no longer pursue the matter of you killing the people of the 9-linked mountains. Let us leave and mind our own business in the future. The mountain master of the 9-linked mountains roared angrily. He thought about how he, who was aloof from worldly affairs, had actually failed miserably today and was being chased by a group of juniors from the crazed manor. His face turned red, and it was obvious that he was angry. Ha ha ha, I've already asked you. Do you want to reason with me or do you want to use your fists? Since you've chosen to use your fists, it's up to me to decide when we'll end this. Rest in peace and accept your death. From now on, the 9-linked mountains will no longer be aloof from worldly affairs. In the mythological plane, only the crazed manor will prosper. Yi Qinghan laughed. With a slash of his sword, he injured an external aid from God's organization, who was swallowed by the Pishio. The Pishio tore through the void and appeared in front of the injured person at any time. Wuyo and Qian Kun were furious. How long had it been since Yi Qinghan appeared in the mythological plane? It hadn't even been 100 years since he took down the mythological plane. After this battle, the mythological plane would no longer have the number 1 organization, only the crazed manor. Even the 3 divine kingdoms would no longer exist, let alone the 3 academies. Xiao Xingyang, Canon King, and more than a dozen people from the greedy wolf dimension were fighting 3 against 1, and they could quickly kill one of them. Their divinity was suppressed, and their vitality was devoured by the Pishio. The Pishio was getting stronger and stronger, and it could kill a superior god alone. In less than half an hour, there were only 7 superior god priests left in the mythological plane. Only 2 were left beside the master of the 9 Links Mountain. They were Qian Kuan, Wuyo, Qing Jingshan, and the Shangqing High God. The others had all died in battle, and the 3 divine academies were no more. It was 30 against 7. It seemed that there was no need to fight. Not only could the master of the 9 Links Mountain not fight, but he also had to be protected by the people of the 9 Links Mountain. At this moment, the 2 high gods threw the master of the 9 Links Mountain in front of the crazed manor and shouted, "Today's matter is this old thing's fault. We tried to persuade him, but he didn't listen. Divine Lord Yi, if you want to settle the score, settle it with him." The master of the 9 Links Mountain's breath stagnated, and there was a sweet taste in his throat. He spat out a mouthful of blood. He was almost angered to death by the 9 Links Mountain's superior god priests. You. Never in his wildest dreams would the 9 Linked Mountain's high god have expected the high god of the 9 Linked Mountain to give up on him so easily. Instead, the high god had pushed him to the front and was about to continue speaking when Yi Qinghan placed a blade on his neck. If the upper beam is not straight, the lower beam will be crooked. None of them are good. Don't worry, the 2 of them won't be able to escape, Yi Qinghan said calmly. Kill them. You killed them all. This old man has sinned. The master of the 9 Links Mountain roared, almost going crazy. Satisfy him and kill the 2 of them. Yi Qinghan gestured to Xian Yanxue, Gu Qingyu, and the others. The 8 inner sect members surrounded the 2 of them like tigers and wolves and pounced on them. The 2 experts were unwilling to give up. They roared and cursed, but they were soon injured. In the end, they were killed by the Thunder Cat and Pai Xiu's sneak attacks. Not even their bones were left. Other than the Mountain Master, there were 3 remaining. The 4 who had the deepest hatred for the Kuang sect kept retreating. The Shangqing sect was terrified, frustrated, and angry. They did not expect that Yi Qinghan could turn the tables in such a situation. They could not help but resent the greed-wolf exalted sage. If he did not bring them to the inner part of God-ending mountain, how could the Kuang sect resist? Now, not only did they not lose, but they were also completely wiped out. Boom! Divine Lord Yi, this old man was confused for a moment. Please forgive me. I am willing to lead the 3 pure kingdoms to serve you. The Shangqing exalted god knelt on the ground, kowtowing and begging. Yi Qinghan was disdainful. How could such an existence become a superior god? Or was it true that the older he got, the more afraid he was of death? I gave you a chance, but you did not take it. Yi Qinghan said coldly. Please spare me again for Li Feng's sake. I'm willing to be loyal to you as an ox and a horse. I will never betray you. The Shangqing exalted god shed tears and snot. He no longer had the dignity of an exalted god. Chapter 720. Shangqing begged pitifully, even bringing up Li Feng again. Yi Qinghan was disdainful. Such a person would only cause trouble and make him feel insecure. He could assassinate people from the inner sect or the crazy manor at any time. Li Feng, you no longer have anything to do with him. Have you forgotten? Yi Qinghan raised his blade and decisively killed Shangqing. Her corpse was directly swallowed by the Pai Xiu. Only Qing Jingshan, Qian Kuan, and Wuyo were left. It was 30 against 3, 10 against 1. The 3 of them didn't even have the chance to self-destruct. Qian Kuan, Wuyo, you didn't expect me to look at you in such a different light, did you? A year ago, you could command the younger generation of God's organization and beat my crazy manor into silence. You even needed Master's help to win. Now, if I want to kill you, it's just a matter of time. Yi Qinghan stepped forward, controlling the aura of half a step into the world and pressing down on the 2. The river flows east for 30 years and the river flows west for 30 years. But now, In less than 2 years, he had changed things and reversed the situation. Wuyo and Qian Kun smiled bitterly and instantly aged hundreds of years. The number 1 organization of the mythological plane was destroyed in a day. They were speechless and could only smile bitterly. Qing Jingshan, kill yourself. I'll let you be buried here. Otherwise, you'll still be a piece of meat under the Pai Xiu's mouth. Yi Qinghan said coldly. Qing Jingshan was dispirited and said hoarsely, God Lord Yi, thank you. I hope you won't implicate my Tian Ke Divine Academy. It's good that it's disbanded, but many of the students are indeed talented. Please have mercy. Qing Jingshan's vitality dissipated, and his soul turned into the Tao. He turned into a wisp of smoke and disappeared from God and Mountain. Wuyo, you killed Yi Linqian. I'll let you see the destruction of God's organization with your own eyes. There's no chance of luck. I want the world to see that those who kill my inner sect will be destroyed. Yi Qinghan said sternly. Boom! Yi Qinghan swung his saber vertically, cutting through the duo's joint attack. Then, the 8 inner sect disciples pounced on Wuyu like a pack of wolves and tigers, suppressing him on the spot. As for High Deity Qian Kun, his legs trembled and he was subdued by Long Yuan and the others before he could even muster the will to resist. Seeing that he no longer had a chance, the 9-linked mountain's mountain lord immediately dissolved into the Tao, leaving behind a powerful godhead, which Emperor Yi took away. Let's go back and see if the 4 armies of the planar battlefield have made a move. Yi Qinghan sheathed his saber and retreated. The people of Kuang Manor did not even need to go deep into God-ending mountain before they took down the menacing group. The people of Kuang Manor had to admit that the heavens were working on their side. The greedy wolf exalted cultivator and the others had dug their own graves. They did not believe in the rumors and insisted on going deeper into God-ending mountain. The people of Kuang Manor did not even have to lift a finger to stop them. Otherwise, even if the people of Kuang Manor managed to force them deeper into the mountain, both sides would suffer great losses in the end. How could one side be wiped out while the other side remained unharmed? 30 priests of Kuang Manor flew toward the North Guard Fortress and Yayang Pass. Gu Qingyu and Yi Qinghan were carrying Wuyu and High Deity Qian Kun. They were as quick as lightning. They traveled over 10,000 li in less than the time it took an incense stick to burn and arrived at the 2 fortresses. Emperor Yi led the inner sect disciples to the North Guard Fortress, while Yi Qinghan led the experts of Kuang Manor to Yayang Pass. The sound of drums was deafening. Even though the 2 fortresses did not have many people, and their strength was slightly weaker, the 4 armies were drenched in cold sweat because of their fearless aura. Meanwhile, the priests of Kuang Manor showed up. The people of the 4 armies were dumbfounded. They quickly backed away when they saw the 2 high deities of God's organization being carried like rats. They could lose their lives at any second. Gulp, the army swallowed their saliva and took a deep breath. They stared at the priests of Kuang Manor in fear. Where were the people of the 9-linked mountains? Where were the people of the greedy wolf plain? Was God's organization messing with them? Didn't they say the 4 armies would only make their move after they eliminated the experts of Kuang Manor? The higher-ups of the 4 armies rolled their eyes. They felt like the heavens were playing a joke on them. The experts of the mythical plane and the greedy wolf plane had surrounded the Kuang Manor, yet not a single person from the Kuang Manor had died. On top of that, Wu Yu and High Deity Qian Kun were being carried away by the people of Kuang Manor. Was there a bigger joke than this? Yi Qinghan stood at Yayang Pass and looked down at the Qingyang army and the giant tiger army. He drew his saber and flew to the front of the 2 armies. When he took a step forward, the army took a step back. When he took 10 steps forward, the army took 10 steps back. They did not dare to look at him in the eye. Your troops have come to my Yuyang Pass, are you declaring war on my violent dragon empire? Yi Qinghan asked indifferently. The giant tiger army's commander was a valiant man. One look and you could tell that he was good at charging and breaking through enemy lines. He was sweating profusely at this moment, but he still managed to come up with an answer. No. Absolutely not. Today, I heard that the Quanglong Empire was founded, so I came here with my army to seek refuge. Yes, I came here to seek refuge and watch the ceremony. I'm too damn smart. The giant tiger army's commander was forced to think for the first time. He exclaimed in his heart. The giant tiger army's commander was a wise and far-sighted person. When he saw that the giant tiger army's commander came up with a better explanation than his own, he slapped his thigh and secretly exclaimed, "This kid is smart but looks stupid. He can be taught." When the people of the Qingyang army heard this, they immediately said, "Us too. Us too. Yi Qinghan, the divine bird, this is the most shameless person I've ever seen. Really, this divine bird admires him. Whoever says that he's big but doesn't have brains, I'll slap him into the 10,000 mountains." The divine bird thought for a long time and gave the most sincere evaluation. The people of the dimensional battlefield were tough. There were almost 1,000,000 people in these two armies. Even if there were many superior god priests killing each other, it would still take some time. Moreover, these people were just mercenaries who were paid to do things. They didn't have any grudges, so Yi Qinghan didn't want to kill too much. "Oh. So I've misunderstood you," Yi Qinghan said calmly. "That's right. God Lord Yi, I've heard of your name for a long time, but I've never seen you before. When I heard that you founded the empire, I even brought the Cook's army to pay my respects to you. Look at their passionate and worshipful eyes, how could they be here to declare war?" The two commanders swore solemnly. They couldn't wait to dig out their hearts to show their loyalty. Boos came from the walls of the Yeyang Pass. There were even people who laughed out loud. This kind of exhilarating thing could only happen in the Quanglong Empire. The superior god priests were sweating. When did the people of the dimensional battlefield become so sly? Didn't they face death with equanimity? The divine bird shuddered and cursed, "You're so fucking shameless. I'm impressed." Even though the two armies of the Northgard fortress did not give such a sly answer, the outcome was still the same. How could they possibly dare to fight the 8 superior gods of the Quang Manor to death? Wasn't that just asking for death? They weren't in the dimensional battlefield. After reorganizing the 4 armies, Yi Qinghan and the others headed straight for God's organization's territory. The members of God's organization, including the strongest ones, were killed. They were merciless to eliminate any future troubles. As for the people on the outside, they were all dismissed. They were not allowed to meet again. The 3 clear divine kingdom was also destroyed and became the territory of the violent Dragon Empire. The Heaven Breaker Academy and the Desolation God Academy were taken over by the 2 divine kingdoms and regained control. As for the Heavenly Watchtower Divine Academy, it was taken over by the Crazed Manor. The talents of the students here were all excellent, and the only thing they lacked was management. Yi Qinghan was confident that he could take care of these students and turn them around. Chapter 721. The higher gods either died in battle or retreated. God's organization was uprooted, and the 3 clear divine kingdom was destroyed. It became Quang Fu's power and became the Quanglong Empire. Together with the territories of God's organization and the peripheral territories of God's organization, Quanglong Empire became the #1 power, occupying almost half of the world. Broken Martial Divine Kingdom and Holy Dragon Divine Kingdom existed in name only, becoming Quanglong subsidiary divine kingdoms. Yi Qinghan took control of Tian Ke Divine Academy and renamed it Quang Fu Academy. He became the first dean of Quang Fu Academy. The students of Quang Fu Academy began a hellish life. The first thing they had to face was the transformation of their minds. If they didn't have the basic qualities of a person, they had to be reorganized and fixed. If they couldn't be fixed, they had to die. Yi Qinghan was vicious and merciless. When ordinary citizens saw him, they treated him like a father. But when those silk pants and vicious people saw him, it was as if mortals had seen a ghost. They secretly called him the devil. Kuang Fu developed like the sun in the sky. Many resources that hadn't been developed were exploited, and the mythological plains powerhouses sprung up like bamboo shoots after a spring rain. A year ago, the tomb of the gods suddenly went out of control. There must be a reason. On that day, the powerhouses were struggling for their lives. Yi Qinghan and the others left. A figure appeared in front of the tomb of the gods. If Yi Qinghan was here, he would immediately recognize him. He was Yi Kun, who had disappeared for thousands of years. He was a remnant of the great Yi clan. Yi Kun became gloomy. His eyes were red, and his fingers were pitch black. It was unknown what cultivation technique he had cultivated to become so cold and vicious. He quietly entered the depths of the tomb of the gods and went through thousands of dangers. He accidentally broke a stone door and obtained a black pearl. It looked a bit like a divine spark, but the color was different. Others' divine sparks were pure gold, formed from a sea of faith. However, this divine spark was completely black. Wisps of black energy spread out from it, turning into black strands that intertwined with each other. Yi Kun looked at the black godhead in his hand and found that the black strands of the godhead had actually pierced into his palm and extended. Finally, they slowly disappeared and reappeared in his sea of consciousness, instantly devouring his godhead. Ah! Yi Kun let out a blood-curdling scream, he fell to the ground and curled up. His face was ferocious, and the red light in his eyes flashed. The black godhead had taken root in his psyche ocean, and his psyche ocean was taken over by an unknown force. The sea of sufferings also became cold and gloomy, like the underworld. After a long time, Yi Kun finally came to his senses. He slowly got up and inserted his 5 fingers into the stone wall with inscriptions. It was appalling. The entire tomb of the god of sin began to stir and lose control. It shook violently and threw all the experts who were fighting inside out of the tomb of the god of sin. Yi Kun was absorbing the power of the inscriptions. His strength was advancing at a crazy speed. He had advanced from an ordinary low-level divine priest to a mid-level divine priest in just 1 hour. 16 hours later, he had reached the great perfection realm. The entire divine mausoleum turned dim and the inscriptions dissipated. In the end, the divine mausoleum erupted, throwing Yi Kun out of the divine mausoleum. It tore through space-time and disappeared from the mythological plane. Yi Kun's gaze became introverted and he no longer looked sinister. He was like an elegant gentleman who would occasionally reveal a smile. It was so charming that women would find it hard to extricate themselves from it. Ha ha ha. God has given me glory. I'm finally no longer living in your shadow. Yi Kun's voice was hoarse and he laughed wildly. The poisonous creatures in the southern wasteland fled, not daring to approach him. Boom! Yi Kun tapped the ground with the tip of his foot, and a deep ravine appeared. It was extremely powerful, especially with his physical body. Solid rocks were turned into tofu in his hands. His 5 fingers pierced through the ancient giant tree, and black threads wrapped around it. The entire tree changed color from dark green to dark black, and finally, it lost all signs of life. Whoosh! Yi Kun withdrew his vicious techniques and rushed out of the southern wasteland with a sinister smile. He happened to encounter a small tribe and attacked without hesitation. He devoured all the divine power and life essence of the experts. The area within 100 miles was barren, not even the chickens and dogs were spared. Even the babies were not spared. At this moment, Yi Kun was the devil. But after killing, he stepped out of the tribe. Who would have thought that he would turn into an elegant gentleman? He was so pure and innocent. Yi Kun flew all the way into the territory of the Quanlong Empire. He didn't show any signs of killing anyone, but his silk pants image from back in the day appeared again. He ran amok all the way until he reached the southern mountain pass, where he flew straight into the Kwanlong manor. The army of the southern mountain pass was furious. The world was stable now, and no one dared to challenge the rules of the Kwang manor. Stop! Luo Jie took the lead and led a large group of experts to stop Yi Kun. 1,000 of them aggressively pressed Yi Kun to the ground. How dare you ignore the rules of the Kwang manor and fly in the sky? Luo Jie reprimanded sternly. My brother is Yi Qinghan. Don't I even have the right to fly? Yi Kun raised his head proudly and smiled evilly. Luo Jie's pupils shrank. He looked at Yi Kun carefully and found that Yi Kun was indeed similar to Yi Qinghan. The only difference was their temperament. One was dignified and full of righteousness, while the other was devilishly good for nothing. He looked elegant, but the coldness in his eyes was self-evident. Regardless of whether you are Divine Lord Ye's brother or not, no one is allowed to fly in the sky above the Kwang manor. Since this is your first offense, I will give you a verbal warning. If you do it again, you will be detained on the spot. Luo Jie did not give him any face. No one in the Kwang manor had special privileges. Even Yi Qinghan had to rely on mutant beasts to pull his carriage. Yi Kun raised his eyebrows and grunted, but did not reply. Men, inform Divine Lord Yi that there is someone here who claims to be his brother. Ask him if there is such a person. Luo Jie stared at Yi Kun and asked coldly, what is your name? Where are you from? Brat, don't think that you can order me around just because you are the lord of the southern mountain pass. When I see my brother, the first thing I will do is remove your identity as the lord of the southern mountain pass. Tell your men to tell my brother that my name is Yi Kun, the descendant of the Yi clan. I come from the endless plains, Shao War Star. Yi Kun threatened. Luo Jie was disdainful. If this person was really Yi Qinghan's brother, he would probably be beaten up by Yi Qinghan. With Yi Qinghan's temper, he would definitely not tolerate such a good-for-nothing character. A captain drove his carriage straight to the inner mansion. At this moment, Yi Qinghan was busy discussing the construction of the Kwanlong Empire with the Upright Sun Chamber of Commerce. When he heard that there was news of Yi Kun, he raised his brows and clenched his fists. He said coldly, where is he? Divine Lord, he was flying above the Kwang manor. He was intercepted by Lord Jinan on the main road of the southern mountain pass. The captain bowed and said. Yi Qinghan summoned the heavenly Qilin and rushed towards the main road of the southern mountain pass. He saw Yi Kun from afar. He was still as stubborn as he was in the past. Yi Qinghan's heart was filled with anger. If not for his stubbornness, the Yi clan would not have been so weak. Brother! I've finally found you. This so-called lord of the southern mountain pass actually dared to threaten me. He said that even if I am your brother, I am not allowed to fly in the Kwang manor. It seems like he doesn't put you in his eyes at all. Yi Kun rushed towards Yi Qinghan. Slap. Yi Qinghan flew into the air and gave Yi Kun a vicious slap. This slap was imbued with divine power and mercilessly landed on Yi Kun's face. Yi Kun was sent flying hundreds of meters away like a kite with a broken string. Yi Kun crashed into the city wall and covered his face with his hands. A cold light flashed for a moment before it disappeared. He glared at Yi Qinghan with the anger of a child and roared, you actually helped an outsider instead of me. If it wasn't for you, the Yi clan wouldn't have been reduced to ruins. We wouldn't have become an outsider's territory. You are a heartless person. You refused to let go of the God-Martial Emperor Codex and watched your clansmen die. Now you hit me. Kill me if you can. Chapter 722. Yi Kun's words hit Yi Qinghan's soft spot. Yi Qinghan's entire body trembled and he was burning with rage. He narrowed his eyes at Yi Kun and said hoarsely, even the destruction of the Yi clan won't change your stubborn nature. Do you think I won't dare to kill you? The murderous intent in his voice enveloped Yi Kun. Yi Kun had never seen Yi Qinghan's murderous intent towards him. His face turned pale and he didn't dare to be unreasonable. He kept quiet. Do you think the destruction of the Yi clan is because of me? Indeed, if it wasn't for me, the Yi clan wouldn't have been destroyed. You can blame me, but remember, I'm trying my best to protect them. What about you? What are you doing? Yi Qinghan asked sternly. Then why didn't you hand over the divine martial emperor code? If you had, father and mother wouldn't have died. Neither would our clansmen and billions of lives. Yi Kun stared at Yi Qinghan. He didn't know what he was trying to say, but his words were harsh. I couldn't hand it over. Even if I did, the outcome would be the same. If you're here to blame me, I have nothing to say to you. Get lost. You're no longer a member of the Yi clan and I'm no longer your brother. Yi Qinghan wanted to kill this stubborn person and clean up the mess. However, he held himself back. Jian Shui committed suicide and was petrified at the ultimate sky sea because she was misunderstood. Nangong Powu was killed and he was the only one left in the Yi clan. No matter how useless he was still connected by blood. Yi Kun saw that Yi Qinghan had regained his composure and knew that words wouldn't work. He changed his attitude and pretended to be pitiful. I only spoke carelessly because you helped outsiders and not me. You even hit me. You're the only family I have left. I just wanted to reunite with you. I didn't mean to blame you. Yi Qinghan was silent for a moment and sighed sadly. They were blood relatives after all. If they could be nurtured and saved, who would be willing to give them up? Moreover, the Yi clan was the only one left. Come back with me and memorize all the rules of the crazy manor. If you dare to be as stubborn as you were back then, I will personally kill you. Yi Qinghan said coldly. Yi Kun didn't dare to say anything else and followed Yi Qinghan back to the Quang manor. Yi Qinghan gave him the Mad Dragon Law and the Mad Manor's rules, ordering him not to leave his room until he had memorized them. Yi Kun looked at the laws and rules on the iron scroll and smiled disdainfully. How could a spoiled brat like him be bound by these things? He knew that as long as he did not cross Yi Qinghan's bottom line, Yi Qinghan would not kill him. At most, he would be grounded. He read the laws and rules briefly and memorized the most important ones. Then, he threw the iron scroll and walked out of the room. On his way out, he met the housekeeper of the inner manor. It was an old man. The housekeeper was very good at running a household. He was very respected in the inner manor. Even Yi Qinghan had to respectfully address him as elderly. Come here. I am Yi Qinghan's younger brother, Yi Kun. Tell me who are the important people in the inner manor and introduce them to me. I don't want to offend them because I don't know who they are. Yi Kun said coldly. Oh, it's your highness. I am Li Cheng, the housekeeper of the inner manor. You can call me Elder Li. Li Cheng quickly bowed. Yi Kun looked arrogant and said disdainfully, Elder Li, tell me, who are the people in the inner manor? Li Cheng bowed slightly. He did not care about Yi Kun's attitude and said respectfully, in the inner manor, in addition to the 39 experts in the inner sect of the Quang sect, there are 3 great gods. They are Lord Xiao Xingyang, Lord Xian Qing, and Lord Pao. The great elder of the inner sect is Lord Gu Qingyu. The divine lord has a wife called Emperor Yi. As long as you don't offend Lord Emperor Yi, you should be fine. Emperor Yi? So she is my sister-in-law. Can't I offend her? My sister-in-law is only Jian Qinxue. Who does she think she is? Why can't I offend her? Yi Kun said disdainfully and coldly. Li Cheng's face changed slightly and said angrily, Your Highness, please behave properly. No one can offend Emperor Ye's dignity. Shut up. Who do you think you are? This is the Yi family's private matter. You have no right to interfere. Yi Kun interrupted Li Cheng and said mischievously, Go and get me some delicious food. Get me some divine medicine and divine wine. Also, Give me a map of the inner manor. Li Cheng's hair was white and he was very angry. This mischievous person was Yi Qinghan's younger brother. He did not look like one at all. Please remember that you are just a servant of the Yi family. Go and do your work. Yi Kun said lightly. Li Cheng had no choice but to turn around and leave to get Yi Kun something good. In the living room of the inner manor, Yi Kun crossed his legs. No matter how strong he became, he could not change this kind of character. The maids in the inner manor came and went, but they had never seen such a foppish person. He is quite a handsome man. I feel that he looks like the Divine Lord. Why is his temperament and eyes so different? The maids were discussing. I heard that the Divine Lord brought a younger brother. Maybe it is him. What a charming man. A beautiful maid stole a glance at Yi Kun. She was attracted by his eyes and almost lost control on the spot. Come here. Yi Kun stretched out his hand and ordered. This servant girl was quite pretty. She relied on an inner sect expert to become a high and mighty person. When she saw Yi Kun waving his hand, she immediately smiled charmingly. She walked in front of Yi Kun and bowed. Greetings, Your Highness. Is there anything you need from this servant? Yi Kun reached out and grabbed the maid's waist and pulled her onto his lap. His big hands wandered around. How could the girl resist the touch of an experienced lover? She went limp on the spot and allowed Yi Kun to do whatever he wanted. Tell me, where is the treasury of the Kuang sect? Yi Kun asked gently. Your Highness, the treasury of the inner manor is naturally in the mountain gate of the Kuang sect. How could you not know? The maid smiled seductively and wriggled her body to let Yi Kun go. Let me test you again. Who is guarding it? Do you know? Yi Kun reached into her arms and smiled evilly. Your Highness. Yes. There are so many masters guarding the Kuang sect. Why would they need someone else to guard the treasury? Those who can enter the inner sect are all masters of the inner sect. Ordinary people. Ah. They can't enter at all. Your Highness, you can definitely enter. The maid was touched until her body went limp. Her eyes lost color as if she was being controlled. Smack. There was a crisp sound. Yi Kun reached out and patted her buttocks. He smiled evilly and said, Come to my room tonight. The maidservant left in a daze, while Li Cheng sent someone to deliver some elixirs and supplements. Yi Kun finished them on the spot, but smashed the plate and said unhappily, I'm a prince, and you're giving me such rubbish? Does the inner sect eat this? I heard that the highest grade of drunken god wine is not this stuff. Are you looking down on me? Your Highness, the highest grade is the tribute. Other than the people of the inner sect, we can't get it. The maids did not dare to look up and quickly explained. Trash. How dare you look down on me? Am I worse than the people of the inner sect? Yi Kun turned and walked towards the inner sect. Chapter 723. That night, just as Yi Qinghan was thinking of ways to make the violent dragon empire prosper, Yi Kun sneaked into the inner sect. Most of the people in the inner sect were bitterly cultivating. No one had time to care about a silk pants. Yi Kun restrained his aura and turned into a wisp of black mist. He followed the map and approached the treasury. There was indeed no one guarding the treasury because Gu Qingyu and Qitian Monkey King were in charge of the treasury. Their courtyards were on the left and right respectively. No matter how much Yi Kun tried to restrain his aura, his chilling aura would still alert the two great martial artists. Gu Qingyu slightly opened his eyes and discovered Yi Kun. He didn't expect him to become so strong. He suddenly appeared beside him and asked indifferently, So it's you? What are you doing here? Yi Kun was startled. He also recognized Gu Qingyu. When he was young, he had always lived in the shadows of Yi Qinghan and Gu Qingyu. The one he feared the most in his heart was not Yi Qinghan, but Gu Qingyu. That was because he was cold and emotionless. He held a sword in his hand and killed all his enemies without mercy. "So it's you, big brother Qingyu," said Yi Kun calmly. "My big brother thinks that I have the potential to improve, so he sent me here to get some treasures so that I can cultivate." Gu Qingyu didn't make things difficult for him. This naughty disciple wanted to cultivate. Yi Qinghan couldn't ask for anything more. He also wouldn't stop him. He said, "Go in. Take as much as you need. If I find out you squandered it, I'll break your neck." Yi Kun's mouth twitched. The resentment in his heart grew stronger. He feared Yi Qinghan and Gu Qingyu the most, but he also hated them the most. That was because they completely suppressed his aura. No matter what he did, he couldn't surpass them. Gu Qingyu's sword cut open the barrier, allowing Yi Kun to smoothly enter the treasury. The treasury was enormous, and spiritual energy leaked out of it. Top-grade and high-grade god crystals were everywhere, and there were dozens of high god artifacts and high god sparks. He had obtained all of them from killing high god priests, as well as the 3 pure divine kingdoms, God Institute, and God's Organization. In total, there were less than 100. Yi Kun counted a total of 88 pieces. With a wave of his hand, he took half of them. He took 1,000,000 supreme-grade god crystals, and a huge amount of natural treasures. He filled his cosmos ring to the brim, and when there was no more space, he sat down cross-legged and began devouring the energy within the supreme-grade god crystals. A large amount of divine crystals turned into powder, filling Yi Kun's limbs and bones. As time passed, Gu Qingyu frowned. He pushed open the door and saw that Han Shuo was cultivating inside. He then saw that Han Shuo had lost half of his high god divine spark and 2 divine swords. He couldn't help but angrily rebuke, "Put down the high god divine spark and godhead and get out here." Yi Kun opened his eyes, and a wicked smile appeared on his lips. He coldly asked, "These godheads and divine crystals were obtained by my brother. Why can't I take them?" "I said you can't take them, so you can't take them. I'll give you 3 breaths of time to put down the godheads and divine artifacts and get out here." Gu Qingyu coldly said. "Why? Why can't I use all these treasures? You're looking down on me. I'm taking my brother's things. As an outsider, what right do you have to control me?" Yi Kun hysterically roared. Gu Qingyu drew his sword, and his aura rose, alarming the experts of the inner sect. They all gathered around, and when they saw Yi Kun take half of the high god divine spark, they were furious, but they didn't have the status to say anything. "If you have the ability, kill me. I'll take it. Why can't I take it for free? If outsiders like you can enjoy it, as his brother, can't I use it?" Yi Kun sneered. He was so mischievous that it was unbearable. "We exchanged our lives for these things. Even Qinghan can't make the decision, let alone you. Anyone who wants to take something from here has to pay with contribution points. You're the same. I'll say it one more time. Put it down and get out here." Gu Qingyu's voice grew colder and colder. "I won't. I like to steal and rob. I don't need money to buy things. What can you do about it? Don't think you can control me just because you've known my brother for a long time. This is our family matter. You have no right to interfere." How could Yi Kun be willing to give up the things he got? He believed that Gu Qingyu and the others wouldn't make a move. They were relying on their relationship with Yi Qinghan to do whatever they wanted. Family matter? Since they can't control you, I wonder if I can. Emperor Yi coldly asked as he stepped into the inner sect. "You're Emperor Yi, right? Who do you think you are? Don't think you can control me just because you're a bit beautiful and won my brother's favor. My sister-in-law is Jian Shui. You're just a little girl my brother picked up from a small planet. Please know your place. Don't be so ungrateful." Yi Kun sneered disdainfully. Emperor Ye's divine zither appeared. He gently plucked a string, twisted it, and sent it out. The sound of heaven and earth suddenly stopped. The zither was silent. In the blink of an eye, sound exploded from Yi Kuen's sea of consciousness in all directions. Emperor Yi retreated and reached out to grab Yi Kuen out of the treasury. Then, he suppressed Yi Kuen's soul and took out his greater godhood. However, he didn't notice that Yi Kuen's godhood was black. In the instant that Emperor Ye's soul entered Yi Kuen's sea of consciousness, it turned golden. Boom! Emperor Yi pressed his jade-like hand down and suppressed Yi Kuen to the ground. No matter how much Yi Kuen struggled or how much the earth cracked, he couldn't escape from Emperor Ye's palm. In any case, Emperor Yi was now a higher god worshipper. He was a higher god worshipper with two divine personas. He also had the zither immortal crimson demon physique. He might be more powerful than Gu Qingyu. Even if Yi Kuen had broken through to become a higher god worshipper, he would not be able to cause any big waves. You think I won't kill you just because you're master's younger brother? You think everyone will give you face just because you're the last bloodline of the great Yi clan? Emperor Yi asked coldly. Kill me if you can. The last member of the great Yi clan will die because of you. Let's see how you'll face my brother. Yi Kuen said sternly. Yi Kuen's godhood hid itself in order to protect itself and prevent these people from discovering Yi Kuen's uniqueness. Don't you have any dignity? The treasures in the treasury were obtained by the blood of all the inner sect disciples. Anyone who wants to take them has to exchange for contribution points. You can't just take them as you wish. There's free lunch, but it's not from the treasury. If you want it, then exchange it with contribution points. It's fine if you insult me, but don't insult the fruits of our labor. Emperor Yi was a little angry. His handsome face finally twitched. I don't have any contribution points. Since I can take it for free, why shouldn't I take it? Yi Kuen said shamelessly. Fine. Since you said so, I'll clean up the house for your brother. I don't expect someone like you to be successful. You're not the last member of the great Yi clan. We don't need you to pass on the legacy. Boom! Emperor Ye's 10 fingers clenched the zither strings. With a flip of his hand, Yi Kuen was sent flying and crashed into a mountain in the distance. Whoosh! Emperor Ye's figure was like a sword. He grabbed Yi Kuen's neck and threw him into the inner sect. Chapter 724. Emperor Yi flew through the air to teach Yi Kuen a lesson. Without a godhead, Yi Kuen became a punching bag. Emperor Yi looked as gentle as the wind, but when he was fierce, he made everyone shudder. He lifted his leg to kick Yi Kuen's face, not even his chest, but his ribs. After kicking Yi Kuen's face, he kicked Yi Kuen's ankle. Yi Kuen screamed, the red in his eyes growing crazier. His fingers cracked the stone floor. Who am I? Your sister-in-law is Jian Shui. I don't know if she recognizes you as her brother. If it wasn't for you, she wouldn't have committed suicide in the extreme sky sea and become a stone statue. You still have the face to call her your sister-in-law. Boom! Emperor Yi became angrier and angrier. He couldn't accept that Yi Kuen was tarnishing Yi Qinghan's image. Yi Kuen roared and tried to activate his godhead, but it was hidden and wouldn't listen to him. He lost control of his divine power and could only take the beating. You want to eat for free? No contribution points. Don't you have any hands? Can't you earn them? How can you be arrogant because you don't have contribution points? Your brother has never told others that he doesn't have anything, so he recklessly went to take other people's things. Emperor Yi angrily kicked Yi Kuen out of the inner sect. Emperor Yi, you will regret. Yi Kuen roared, completely unrepentant. Why should she regret? A cold voice sounded from behind Yi Kuen. It was cold and filled with killing intent. Yi Kuen felt his blood freeze. He couldn't even turn his head, but he knew who said it. Other than Yi Qinghan, who could scare him to this extent? Brother! I just want to improve and cultivate with you, but this group of people won't let me enjoy the resources you worked hard for. They even beat me up. Especially Emperor Yi. Just because you love him, he doesn't treat me like a brother. Yi Kun roared as if he had been wronged. He took half of the godhood, nearly 1,000,000 top-grade god crystals, 2 greater god weapons, and countless precious materials. He's beyond redemption. I thought he'd make some progress when he came to the treasury, but in the end, he's still as useless as ever. This was the first time Gu Qingyu had spoken so much, and it was all out of anger. There are so many treasures in the treasury, why can't I take them? Weren't resources meant for people to use? If you can use it, why can't I? Yi Kun retorted. Yi Qinghan took a deep breath and said earnestly, do you know where these resources came from? You're the one who made it. That's why I can use it. You're my brother. We're the only ones left in the Yi clan. Why can't I use it? Or do you think I'm inferior to these outsiders? Yi Kun pretended to be wronged. Yi Qinghan clenched his fists. He had always thought of Yi Kun as a mischievous son of a rich family. He wanted to change his mind, so he suppressed his temper and said patiently, these divine crystals were dug out by me and the rest of the sect. These godhoods, precious materials, and divine weapons were exchanged with our blood and lives. If you want to use them, no one can stop you. But if you want to exchange them with contribution points, no one will do anything for you for free just because you're my brother. Can't you put yourself in my shoes? What would you think if someone took something you worked so hard to get away with just a stretch of their hand, and even acted as if it was natural? But I don't have any contribution points. I just want to use these resources to cultivate. I'll return them to you in the future. Is this necessary? Isn't it a waste to leave them in the treasury? All I did was take some divine crystals and godhoods, and you beat and scolded me. Am I not your family? Yi Kun kept harping on the fact that he did not have any contribution points, as if he was right. In my eyes, you're all the same. You're my family, and I'm willing to fight for you with my life. However, you have to respect my hard work. That's something that I've fought for with my life. It's not something that you can take away just because you want to. Yi Qinghan's tone became heavier as he spoke coldly. Then give me some contribution points. Yi Kun said as he stretched out his hand. Yi Qinghan's body trembled. He clenched his fists so hard that blood dripped. He could not stand this mischievous brother of his. Where's your dignity? Where's your hands? Although I don't know how you got your cultivation, you're not inferior to a medium god. Can't you earn contribution points with your own hands? Yi Qinghan questioned sternly. Why would I waste my time to earn contribution points when there are resources readily available? Yi Kun retorted. It seems I can't talk sense into you. Those resources are not yours. Put down the yin-yang ring and leave Crazed Manor's territory. From now on, we have nothing to do with each other. Yi Qinghan took a deep breath and gave up on teaching Yi Kun. I won't give up on the resources. Whoosh, Yi Kun had just refused when Yi Qinghan raised his blade and chopped off Yi Kun's arm. He then grabbed the severed arm and took the yin-yang ring. Yi Kun was stunned. He did not expect Yi Qinghan to be so ruthless. He actually chopped off his own brother's arm for some resources. Chopping off your arm has nothing to do with the resources. As for why, you'll understand it yourself. Leave, don't stay in Crazed Manor. It's best if you don't break the law in Crazed Dragon Empire. There are only rules in my eyes. No one can break the rules I set, including you. Yi Qinghan said coldly. Yi Kun held his severed arm with his left hand, which was bleeding non-stop. He stared at Yi Qinghan viciously. He did not understand Yi Qinghan, nor did he want to understand. In his eyes, there were only his own thoughts. I'm leaving. Yi Kun held his severed arm and quickly recovered. After all, Yi Qinghan did not want to hurt him. Yi Kun turned and left the inner sect. He knew that Yi Qinghan was on the verge of anger, so he did not dare to fly out of crazed manner. Instead, he slowly walked towards the southern mountain pass. Yi Qinghan, you've strengthened my heart. You only have yourself in your eyes. You've never cared about the great Yi clan. For the divine martial imperial codex, you gave up your people. For your land, you actually attacked me. Ha ha ha. After today, I'll see how you and the inner sect will face each other. Yi Kun sneered and ran faster and faster, gradually disappearing. Yi Kun's ruckus today was to destroy the inner sect's tacit understanding. However, he was disappointed because the inner sect's feelings were not something he could understand. The inner sect's thoughts were also not something a person like him who only knew how to ask for things could understand. Yi Qinghan smiled bitterly and said to the inner sect disciples, I've let you guys see a joke. He's still stubborn and unrepentant. Sigh. Let him go out on his own. Maybe he'll change. Forget it. Don't take it to heart. I believe that he'll understand one day. Gu Qingyu shook his head. It was indeed hard to accept having such a stubborn younger brother. Suddenly, he recalled the way Yi Kun appeared in the treasury. He frowned and reminded, there's something wrong with your brother's cultivation method. Chapter 725. Gu Qingyu's words woke Yi Qinghan up. Emperor Yi had beaten him up for so long, yet Yi Kun was perfectly fine. Yi Qinghan raised his saber and chased after Yi Kun. The night was dark. There was not a single ray of moonlight. It was so dark that he could not even see his own fingers. The southern mountain fortress was still the same, but there was not a single soul on the streets. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan flew into the sky. His eyes were burning like torches as he looked down at the mountains and rivers, yet he could not find Yi Kun. Reckless idiot, you've caused enough trouble. After failing to find Yi Kun's trace, Yi Qinghan was convinced that there was something wrong with his art. He immediately ordered all the gateways in the Quanlong kingdom to be sealed off and put Yi Kun on the wanted list. The southern mountain fortress reacted quickly and sealed off all the passages leading to the outside world. It was impossible for a bird to fly through the southern mountain fortress. The Yayang Fortress, the Northgard Fortress, the Ganshan Mountain Fortress, and the entrances to the endless plains were crowded with experts. They could only leave, not enter. Yi Qinghan was worried that Yi Kun might take revenge on Xiao Zhanqing out of desperation, so he ordered Di Longtian to seal off the endless plains. The experts of the ancient god slayers were on high alert. Yi Qinghan and the inner sect members searched for Yi Kun for an entire night, but it was as if Yi Kun had disappeared without a trace. Yi Qinghan from the crazy manor had personally issued a warrant for Yi Kun's arrest. The entire mythological plane had been mobilized, including the two divine kingdoms. The warrant for Yi Kun's arrest was much stronger than the one for Medusa. The Pokang mountain of the Powu kingdom was barren. There was no sign of life apart from the ancient forest. Wild beasts and mutant beasts roamed freely. Yi Kun had managed to sneak past the Quanlong kingdom's blockade and appear here. Goddamn Godhead! Why didn't you listen to me? What do I need you for? Yi Kun was enraged. He pulled his hair and roared furiously. You watched me get beaten up by that bitch, yet you sealed off my god power. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to reforge the Godhead. Yi Kun was like a madman. His hair was disheveled, and his eyes were like red moons. He was extremely vicious, and his face was twisted as he roared, Yi Qinghan. You're such a selfish bastard. In your eyes, other than your empire, you have no family. Xiao Zhanqing died because of you. You don't even want to protect the last of the Yi clan's bloodline. You dare to attack me? I'll make you regret it. I'll make your empire collapse. Childish idiot. If I hadn't taken the initiative to withdraw the Night Devil Godhead, you would have been killed by that group of people, and even I would have been implicated. A cold voice exploded in Yi Kuen's sea of consciousness. The voice was like a knife, breaking the hair on Yi Kuen's body. It shook Yi Kuen so much that he felt like his head was going to split. Who is it? Come out. Yi Kuen roared in fear. I am a strand of night devil god soul, hidden within my divine deity, and I am about to die. If you want to suppress your so-called brother, then listen to me carefully. Night devil god said coldly. Night devil god. Yi Kuen had never come into contact with people of this level, nor had he heard of the legends of the strong. He had no idea what kind of existence Night Devil God was. In the Primal Chaos era, there were a total of 3,600 giant gods. Among them, there were 3,582 main gods. They controlled 3,000 minor daos and divine abilities. They commanded the minor daos of the 5 elemental laws. There were 21 supreme gods who controlled the 6 Tao origins and laws. They were the lords of all living things in the world, supreme existences. As for me, I was the main god who controlled the dark night element, and also one of the great devil god's right-hand men. Night devil god's voice was low, as if he was immersed in the primal chaos era. Among the 12 supreme gods, there were strong and weak ones. The strongest ones were the primal chaos sorcerer god and the great devil god. My lord wanted to seize the fortune of the heavenly Tao and stand outside of the laws and laws to become the unique god of creation, creating an era of immortality. He led us to fight against the primal chaos sorcerer god's camp. Both sides suffered great losses, the heavenly Tao collapsed, and the laws ceased to exist. In the end, it led to the fall of the 10,000 gods. There were very few survivors, and the sorcerer race was destroyed. The great devil god paused and said in a deep voice, "Now that you have triggered the mechanism in the tomb of the gods and rescued me, you are the successor of the great devil god. If you want to crush Yi Qinghan, you have to work hard to learn the dark night devil god Tao scripture, because your brother has the bloodline of the sorcerer race and the bloodline of the primal chaos dragon." Yi Kuen's body trembled. He didn't understand why Yi Qinghan had the bloodline of the sorcerer race and the primal chaos dragon. Listen carefully. The primal chaos dragon is one of the 4 sacred beasts and one of the 12 supreme gods. He also has the 5 elements Tao body and is preparing to create the 9 revolution chaos Tao body. His method is feasible. Once he creates it, no one can suppress him unless my great devil god personally comes. So, your goal is not to kill Yi Qinghan in the middle plane, but to enter the upper plane and find the primal chaos plane, the great devil ridge, and use the blood of billions of gods to awaken my lord. Otherwise, you will die in your brother's hands sooner or later. Do you understand? The night devil god warned sternly. I can kill him. I don't need anyone's help, so get lost. Die early and let me completely control the godhead. I will be the supreme existence. Yi Kuen roared. Bastard, ignorant. Why would I entrust myself to an idiot like you? The night devil god was going crazy. He wanted to slap this idiot to death. You have to understand that the 9 revolution chaos Tao body is one of the 10 most powerful bodies in the primal chaos. It is the first existence on par with the great devil god body. How can you win? Just by relying on a brainless person like you? Damn it, if the demon god's inheritance is destroyed in your hands, I won't let you off even if I become a ghost. The night devil god's aura exploded, and all the creatures within 100 miles died. Yi Kuen was still stubborn. If he could anger Yi Qinghan to death, he could also anger the night devil god to death. Listen to me, the 10 most powerful bodies in the primal chaos are invincible existences. They can even shatter the heavenly Tao. Although you have my godhead, you are nothing in front of the 10 most powerful bodies. What you see now is only the tip of the iceberg of the universe. If you encounter the 10 most powerful bodies, run as far as you can, understand? The night devil god warned angrily. Yi Kuen could feel the night devil god's anger. He calmed down and asked, what are the 10 most powerful bodies? The first war physique, the grand devil god Tao physique, can even break the heavenly Tao of primordial chaos. He is determined to become the god of creation and live forever. He is the Father, the unparalleled Father. No one can kill him. The second body is the 9 revolution chaos Tao body. There are 2 types of Tao bodies. One is innate, like the chaos sorcerer god, and the other is acquired. Your brother is forging it. Although he's only at the 5 elements Tao body, he'll be able to forge it sooner or later with his luck. There's no other way but to revive my master. Moreover, the acquired chaos Tao body may be stronger than the innate chaos Tao body. If my master revives too late, you'll always live in his shadow. The third is the void Tao body. If you encounter this kind of inheritor, don't get close and don't communicate. Don't reveal your dark night devil god Tao scripture. Otherwise, you won't even know how you died. Among the 10 most powerful bodies in the primal chaos Tao body, there are 4 inheritors in the sorcerer tribe camp and 6 in my tribe. Their inheritors are absolutely invincible among those of the same level. They can even kill those of a higher level. Do you remember? The night devil god's voice became weaker and weaker. In the end, it turned into dark night elements and gathered into a Tao scripture. The dark night devil god Tao scripture was a master god level secret technique. It was the most powerful one. Chapter 726. The mythological plane was in a state of panic. All the powerful cultivators appeared just to capture Yi Kun and sell him a favor. Although there were no signs of human habitation in Pokang Mountain, there would still be people who would come here. A group of adventurers appeared here and discovered that the night demon god had destroyed an area of 100 miles, turning even the mountain rocks into dust. They immediately went to Pokang Mountain to report. Martial God Nation's experts personally came to investigate and found some traces. They immediately rushed to the crazed manor. Less than a day after Yi Kun left, Yi Qinghan found traces of him. When Yi Qinghan found out that Yi Kun had appeared in Mount Pokang, he personally went to Martial God Nation to chase after him. The Space Divine Beast Pai Xiu brought Yi Qinghan through space and arrived in Mount Pokang. There was no sign of life within 100 miles. Even now, there were still dark night elements surging about. It was clear how terrifying the thing inside Yi Kun's body was. Are there traces of sovereigns again? Yi Kun actually obtained a Master God's inheritance, and it's even the Dark Night Elemental Master God's inheritance. This is forcing me to clean house. Yi Qinghan took a deep breath and closed his eyes, reversing time and space to derive Yi Kun's traces. However, he didn't have the gift of other pupils and could only see vague traces. He tracked Yi Kun all the way to a city in Martial God Nation and completely lost Yi Kun's aura. I haven't seen you for 1,000 years and you've actually grown so strong. Yi Qinghan clenched his fists and walked into the city. Seeing the arrest warrant on the city wall, he shook his head inwardly. Yi Kun must have changed his appearance and could only be tracked by his aura. Relying on a portrait was simply unreliable. Yi Qinghan kept a low profile in the city and changed his appearance slightly. However, his outstanding temperament couldn't be hidden and attracted a lot of attention. The shattered Martial Divine Nation was located in the barren northwest. There weren't many people there, but they were all extremely valiant. They worshipped martial arts and were tall and strong. Yi Qinghan wasn't considered tall among the crowd. In fact, he even looked a little delicate. Yi Qinghan went to a restaurant alone and asked for a private room. He ordered some food to pass the time and began to contact the other pupil. Only she could track Yi Kun with her gift. After 3 attempts, the other pupil didn't respond. At this moment, she was concentrating on breaking through the superior god shrine and even her communication talisman was blocked. Yi Qinghan couldn't contact her. Sigh, Yi Qinghan sighed. His journey had been smooth sailing, but he had been defeated by his own brother. In his first life, because of his hedonism, he had given others an opportunity to take advantage of, and Yi Qing Han. And he. Of. And Yi Qing Han. Had. Yi Qing Han was toying with a delicate dagger. It was the superior divine weapon he obtained from the tomb of the god of sin. At this moment, he was feeling extremely depressed. Yi Qing Han's mentality was already distorted. He could not be reasoned with. He felt that everything he did was right and proper, whether it was stealing or robbing. As long as it was beneficial to him, he would never consider the feelings of the victim. After a while, there was a commotion below the restaurant, which attracted Yi Qing Han's attention. Something big has happened. The Mystic Moon sect of Mystic Moon City was wiped out in a day. That's a consummate expert, an existence that surpasses the mansion master and is second only to the superior god shrine. Even in the mythical realm, they could be considered a superpower. However, they couldn't protect the Mystic Moon sect. The sect's 3,000 inner sect experts and close to 10,000 outer sect experts were all killed. Blood flowed like a river and the palace collapsed. Because of the barrier, the experts of the Mystic Moon Mansion were not alerted. What? Everyone in the Mystic Moon sect is dead. Who did it? I heard that it's related to the younger brother of the Insane Mansion. Now, the Insane Mansion and 2 other nations are hunting him down. How dare he commit such a crime? Yi Qing Han's pupils shrank. He threw down a mid-grade god crystal and rushed out of the window on the 2nd floor without eating anything. He broke through the space and disappeared into the city. An hour later, in a remote mountain gate in the territory of the Mystic Moon Mansion, the smell of blood was thick. A large number of experts had gathered. Even the Marquis of the Shattered Martial Divine Nation had arrived. Looking at the withered corpses, he was furious. This cultivation technique was so vicious that it could absorb the life force of people, not even letting go of their blood. Yi Qing Han quietly appeared on a mountain peak. His eyes were like lightning as he focused on the mountain gate where the Mystic Moon sect was located. Seeing that the blood had turned light red, he clenched his fists and flew down to the crowd. He looked at the Marquis of the Shattered Martial Divine Nation and said coldly, "Give me a map of the Shattered Martial Divine Nation." "Who are you?" The Marquis did not recognize Yi Qing Han and asked in dissatisfaction. Yi Qing Han's figure suddenly changed, and his handsome face appeared in front of everyone. Many people gasped. They did not expect to meet Yi Qing Han in the Shattered Martial Divine Nation. "It's Divine Lord Yi. Oh my God, am I seeing things? It's him. It must be him. Who else in the world has such an aura?" Everyone was discussing animatedly. The Marquis was also shocked. He quickly bowed and said, "So it's Divine Lord Yi. I didn't know you were coming. Please forgive me for not going out to meet you," Yi Qing Han interrupted him indifferently. Seeing that so many people had died in the Mystic Moon sect, he said apologetically, "I'm very sorry. He brought such a great loss to the Divine Nation. I will catch him personally and bring him to justice. I will not protect him. Give me the map. I will guess where he went." The Marquis quickly took out a complete map and handed it to Yi Qing Han. Yi Qing Han flattened the map and connected the Crazy Manor, Shattered Mountain, and Mystic Moon sect into a straight line. It continued to extend and found that this was a route that led directly to the dimensional battlefield. Then, from the Mystic Moon sect, 5 straight lines were refracted. He found that Yi Kun had 5 passages that led to the dimensional battlefield. They were Shieling Pass, Sky River Pass, War God Pass, Yinshi Manor, True Dragon Pass, and One Line Sky. One Line Sky was in the middle, Shieling Pass and Sky River were on the left, and Yinshi Manor and True Dragon Pass were on the right. The route to One Line Sky was a straight line, and the others had to be detoured. Yi Qing Han understood Yi Kun. This kind of person would not take detours if he could walk straight. If he could sit, he would not stand. In short, he would take advantage of any situation. He had the greatest confidence in taking the one-line sky. However, Yi Kun also knew that he was wanted by countless factions. It would not be safe for him to take the normal route. No one could be sure if he would take detours. Yi Qinghan pointed at the 3 gateways and the Yunxi Manor and said to the prince, "Inform the 3 gateways and the Yunxi Manor to seal off the passageway. If Yi Kun appears, kill him without mercy, regardless of whether he's dead or alive." After Yi Qinghan finished speaking, he rolled up the map and flew into the sky. He was in the direction of the little one-line sky. Yi Kun knew that many people were chasing him. He could not fly and could only walk. Yi Qinghan could only pray that Yi Kun was still on the way to one-line sky. Therefore, he used the Pai Xiu to tear through the void. In less than half an incense stick's time, he appeared outside one-line sky. One-line sky was a huge canyon. The canyons on both sides extended to the sky. There was only one long and narrow passage. After passing one-line sky, another 30,000 miles to the northwest would be the periphery of the planar battlefield. That was the battlefield that connected to Fujian Plain. During the day, the sun shone brightly. This place was like a long line that connected the sky and the earth. The canyons were so high that even the superior god shrine could not fly over it. Therefore, it was called one-line sky. Yi Qinghan suddenly appeared in the middle of the long and narrow passage. He stabbed his long saber into the rock. A cold light flashed as he waited for Yi Kun's arrival. There are also many people like him in the world. Everyone should have met him in their daily lives. People like him who can talk about stealing and still steal, just watch and torture him. This kind of person is asking for it. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.